Demon King Ditsang, too, when that news came forward, Bai Chang Feng was the first to react. Dilating his old eyes inward in shock, he stares over to his granddaughter like he's expecting some sort of storm. Did you just say the Holy Land and Misty Fairy House also got people heading their way? Darkening in her face, Bai Yan's increasingly aura causes all of those weaker to lower their heads. They couldn't and didn't have the nerve to directly look up. You are, perhaps becoming aware of Bai Yan's true power level. The middle-aged man literally pops his eyes while shouting out that discovery. But his last words did not have the chance to finish because the woman's palm strike had come flying over front. Landing directly on his forehead, the blow directly destroys his brain out and leaves behind a gory mess of a headless corpse crashing to the ground. Yen? Bai Chang Feng asks with uncertainty. Tightly clenching her fist, Bai Yan didn't waste any time to explain her intent. Grandfather, you take everyone down to rest first, I'm going to go save everyone first. If her 3 shifts didn't save her all those years ago, then perhaps she and her son would have already died by some unknown danger. For that reason and the love she enjoyed from those 3, she just couldn't walk away. And then there's also her own father that she must save. Anyone who hurts her family and loved ones will never be allowed to live. Queen, I will bring you to them. Please ride me. Dragony comes over to the woman's side, her eyes showing hopeful light. When you were inside that domain for training, I discovered I could fly really, really fast. Though it's not always fast and can be slow sometimes, but we can only try in this case. Okay, Dragony, thank you. She didn't reject the young missy's good intention. Holding her son in one hand, son, we're going back to the Holy Land first. Holy Land. Losing its peaceful calm air, the place has now turned into a smoldering battlefield of death and pain. It's a horrific scene where the countless bodies are dyed in their own blood. That's how huge the earlier battles must have been. Lord Chu Ran was still standing at this moment, but this man knew there's no chance left for them to win this fight. Gripping his sword in frustration for being so weak, he shouts aloud, everyone retreat. Lord. For a time, the frontline fighters all turned their heads to look over in the man's direction, their eyes showing unwillingness. First Elder, Chu Ran's eyes met Jing Qi's. First, the final battle with these people are unavoidable. I know everyone is willing to fight them to the end, but they're too strong for us. In order to avoid further causality. Closing his eyes, the master of this place seems to have come to a decision. Take the remaining disciples and elders to the Holy Island. There is a protective barrier around the place and can resist their attacks for a while. I will stay behind to hold their advances for as long as I can. Lord, we can't. Zheng Qi exclaims. It's an order. Inhaling deeply, Chu Ran solemnly says, these young talents are our Holy Land's foundation. If fate is unforgiving and I fall here today, then I want you to lead them in supporting my Sunny Feng to become the new Lord of the Holy Land. He's the master of the Holy Land. If he doesn't stand and fight, then who else should he send? His subordinates, or these disciples who barely started their journey in life? As a famed master and their leader, he does have some self-recognition despite what his daughter thought of him. Also, Chu Ran's mouth suddenly formed a happy smile. Help me pass on a message to that worrisome lass. Tell Bai Yan to find out the identity of these invaders and get revenge for me. I know she will one day become the ruler of this world with her exceptional talent. Demon King Ditsang, 3, what's there to fear death? When the time comes, Bai Yan will certainly avenge me so my death will not be in vain. Lord, Ren Yi and others were going pale. They wanted to say something to persuade their lord to change his mind but was blocked by a hand. Leave, we're going back to the Holy Island at once. Boss. The remaining elders all exclaimed, their faces showing incredulous at Jing Qi, first, whose sight continues to lock onto Chu Ran who had already rushed into the battlefield. There's pain in the first elder's face. For the sake of the Holy Land, we can only retreat. I can't let the remaining seeds be buried here today. Do they believe he's not heartbroken for abandoning their lord? But as an elder, the first elder at that, Jing Qi has a duty to see to the Holy Land's survival and the lineage be passed on. There's also the responsibility of supporting Yifeng in becoming the next Saint Lord, so he and these disciples mustn't die. At the very least not until Yifeng can stand on his own. Once that happens, I can happily go off to avenge Chu Ran if I must. As sorrowful and saddening as this tragedy was, Chu Ran could not continue to wait for his people to dilly-dawdle around like this, because he couldn't continue to fend off the enemy like this. At this rate he's going to lose, and it's free picking at that point. What are you all waiting for? Go. PFFF. It's this momentary diversion that's left the man opened. Taking a heavy hit to the shoulder area, Chu Ran stumbles backward from the blow and spills out a mouthful of blood. Though taking a hit was by no means a good sign, it did have an effect of knocking everyone back to their senses. Not only by staying did they not provide any tangible help, they're in fact dragging their lord down by being a hindrance. Giving Chu Ran one final apologetic glance, they all rushed towards the inner sector of the Holy Land. Meanwhile, on the opposite end, the enemies didn't place any importance on the fleeing group. In their eyes, these people are insignificant ants, so it played into Chu Ran's benefit. Besides, once they finished with the Lord, then the rest would fall into their hands naturally. I, Chu Ran, may not be good enough to stop you assailants here today, but I can use my life to save all of the disciples under my charge. Bellowing out a laugh, this Lord releases all of his powers. Exploding with an intense burst of air, his hair tie breaks away to allow those thin strands to flutter against the wind, making him almost savage-looking due to all the injury he's suffered so far. Let my ancestors be my witness. At the expense of never being able to reincarnate after I die, I will stop these enemies here today. To meet that vow and conviction, even the sky has darkened with claps of thunder rocking the air. Not far away, Zhengqi seems to have sensed this anomaly. Demon King Di Tsang, 4. Chu Ran closes his eyes in gratification. The fact that they would avenge him was all the solace he needs when sacrificing himself. This isn't good, he's going to blow himself up. Seeing the momentum climbing higher and higher around the person, the leading opponent promptly revealed a trace of panic in that face. Lord Wu is with the others at the medicine sect. We must find a way to stop this bastard before it's too late. Medicine sect? Chu Ran's face turned ugly at that name. There's a grave idea running through his head, and it's not something he wants to believe. That was Bai Yen also being at the medicine sect. No. No way. I must inform First Elder and them. They must go stop the last before she bumps head with these people. PFFF. Due to the stress while he's gathering energy, another splurt of blood came spewing out of Chu Ran's throat, causing him to stain his own robe and nearly losing his voice. This is it, my life is coming to an end. Just as his face grew more and more dire, a familiar figure had suddenly come into his line of sight from the forefront. It's a pretty-looking girl wearing a yellow-colored dress. Though noble in nature, the young miss did not lose that playful air that's expected of a maiden. But instead of the usual smile he's become accustomed to from the other side, there's fear and horror in those feministic eyes. In that split second of recognizing his own daughter, Chu Ran's heart nearly exploded and stopped beating entirely. Run away. He wanted to scream his thoughts out so she would understand what he wants, but his throat felt dry and husky, almost painful to even move air through them. Before he knew it, Chu was already coming up to his location and within the blast radius when he self-destructs. There are only two girls whom Chu Ran takes as his own daughter. The first would of course be this troublesome lass who came running back against his wishes, the other being Bai Yen, who's likely facing off against the other group of invaders. To say fate's cruel at this moment was no understatement. Am I going to lose a daughter right before I die, and at my own hands at that? He closes his eyes in despair, waiting for the impending explosion from within his own core. Yet, despite his wait, nothing happened. There's no loss of his senses, nor are there the smoldering smell of smoke and fire in the air. It's strange and odd. What's going on? Stiff as a rock, Chu Ran gradually opens his eyes again, too afraid the next picture would be something devastating and cruel. But his worries are for naught, to be honest. Looking up, all he saw was that silvery and purplish figure being reflected into his eyes. Hands behind the back, he nearly fell into a hypnotized state when glancing over that face. It's too surreal and handsome, yet devilish at the same time. Such a contour was beyond anything this lord has ever seen. Where's Bai Yan? Just when Chu Ran was speculating on the identity of this newcomer, the other side had already spoken up using a voice that sounded like it had power in there. Pa. Not letting the man himself reply at all, Chu Yi had thrown herself at her old pa's arm. Tearing up in the face, Pa, you scared me to death just now. I thought I would never see you again. That comment only annoyed the receiving end of that outcry. Didn't I tell you to go? Why did you come back? Demon King Deetsong, 6. Want me to kill this group for you? Deetsong only needs a glance to read what this girl has schemed. Chu Yi desperately nods. I can help you, but in the future you cannot help your brother in any way. Pausing in his words, he makes an awkward cough to clear that throat. Also, you must help me convince Yen Yen to give me a litter of little foxes in the future. Chu Yi vehemently nods her head this time around. Don't worry, brother-in-law, I will definitely stand on your side and not help my brother. If Chu Yifeng were to hear the girl's blasphemous words, then he would surely cry foul and that he raised a traitorous sister. But then while they're having the conversation, that group of attackers had come flying at Deetsong for a second time without warning. Instead of simply sweeping away these foes like the previous, he unleashes a wave of flame that instantly engulfs the group. For a time, screams of terrible pain could be heard from those burning pyres on the floor. Towards this scene, Chu Yi inherently gulped at that overwhelming power. It's no wonder Bai Yan chose him, that strength is superior to even brothers. Are you Bai Yan's husband, Xiaoqin's father? Showing a shocked and stunned face, Chu Ran finally got it now and understood who this powerful silvery-haired man was. Before he never connected the link between Deetsong and Bai Yan. After all, it's no secret his son tried pursuing the woman before. Therefore, this demon king had no reason to save himself or his daughter. But apparently his dark side had gotten the better of himself. Where is Bai Yan? Deetsong asks again after noticing the extra attention from the man-child. Igniting the fear in his heart, Chu Ran makes a flustered face at the thought. Bai Yan went back to the medicine sect and I heard these people say they also sent other powerful masters over there. I fear she might have met them along the way and is in danger. In that second, an extremely thick and suffocating aura seeped out of Deetsong's body, making everyone nearby extremely uncomfortable. Not waiting for Chu Ran to say the second sentence, that purplish figure has disappeared from the sky, behind leaving nothing but empty space and a bristling gust of wind due to that flash step. Pa, is it true about what you just said, that Bai Yan is in danger? Tugging at her old pa's sleeve, Chu Yi sounded urgent and distressed. I'm afraid so, Yi. This man's strength is not low. If he can catch up to her, then things might not be as bad as I think, but he's afraid that the guy wouldn't make it in time. Then the worst might just come to pass. No, he will definitely make it. Tightly clenching her dainty fist, Chu Yi kept comforting her own heart by chanting this. Perhaps the spell worked because her mood did get a bit better afterwards. Oh right, you mentioned something about you and Bai Yan's brother. Misty Fairy House Crisis, 1. Chu Yi's expression went stiff. This. Is he even my pa? It can't be that I was picked up off the streets, now right? Chu Ran then pats his daughter's shoulder like he wants to add something else to his words in order to make it not so wrong. However, a slight chuckle from somewhere had caught their ears and pulled their full attention aside. Did you anger the Lord again? The voice couldn't any more familiar. Swinging their heads around, what reflected into their eyes were Bai Yan's gorgeous figure. Tearing up in the face, Chu Yi just couldn't hold it in. You're all right, Bai Yan. I'm so happy. Sister Yi. Popping his little head out from behind his mother's back, Bai Shechen's cuddly face had on a big giant smile. Are you hoping my mother never be born or something? No, of course not, you silly. Wiping some of those tears, Chu Yi also burst out a big giant smile of her own. I'm just too happy that you are all okay. Pa said there are powerful masters heading to the medicine sect, so we were worried about your safety. You don't have to worry about us. We've also heard about those people heading to the Holy Land and Misty Fairy House. That's why we're here to check up on your well-being. But it looks like my help isn't needed here anymore. Actually, Bai Yan, you're one step late. Your man was here just moments ago and he only left because we told him you were at the medicine sect. He's chasing over there for you right now. Sighing at the missed encounter, Chu Yi lamented the fact that the pair were so close in meeting. Bai Yan didn't mind. Still smiling in the face knowing that the Holy Land's safe, Lord Yi, I won't stick around to chat any longer now that you're all safe. The Misty Fairy House still needs my help. Not giving the pair down below to say more, Bai Yan pats the dragoness's head. Let's go, Dragony, they still need our help. Dragony? Chu Yi and Chu Ran were both gobsmacked by the dragon's identity. That little lass who always follow behind Shechen's back is this dragon? It's as I suspected. I knew Bai Yan and Shechen aren't going to be ordinary back when I first met them. Watching those fleeting figure that's quickly disappearing off into the horizon, Chu Ren issues a long sigh. Good thing she is a grateful person who knows how to return good with kindness. You must stay on good terms with them so that when I pass on, I won't have to worry about you. Getting slightly emotional in the eyes, the girl didn't want to hear it. Pa. Your brother Yifeng is destined to have his own fate in life. He won't be able to give you protection. That's why I want you to follow behind Bai Yan and learn from her. My hope is that she can shelter you. Pa, you are not going to protect me anymore? No, you silly. Regardless of how strong a person becomes, there will always be an end. If I don't make a breakthrough, then it will only be a few decades more before I die. Then I won't be able to shelter you anymore. Perhaps it's the way he said it, or that white sideburn, but his appearance has caused the girl to start whimpering with sadness. In this world, what father doesn't want to protect their own children? Don't assume just because Chu Ran likes to berate Chu Yi as a troublemaker that he doesn't care for her. He does, and a lot at that. Otherwise, why else would he make plans well ahead of his own passing? Misty Fairy House Crisis, 2, and Chu Ran turned his head to the girl. You should know there will always be stronger masters out there than your old man I. Who knows when your pa here will leave you forever one day, so my hope now is that you will listen to Bai Yan's words. Though that one has a bad temper, but aside from your brother and you, she is the other person in this world I trust the most. You won't suffer by follow her instructions. Chu Yi's heart trembled at those heartfelt words. In all the years she's been living, she's always been playing and playing, but now, for the first time in her short lifespan, there's a strong impulse. An impulse to get stronger. Back then she could always rely on her brother and pa to hold up the heavens for herself, and then Bai Yan came along to be the third. That's why she never feared anything in life. But now, she wants to do it herself. Pa, I understand. I must be stronger. Only by being stronger than everyone else will I be able to protect the Holy Land in Pa's stead. Perhaps Chu Ran didn't realize it at the time, but this invasion by a foreign power has caused the mentality in this girl to change, and that twinkling light, those eyes were evident of Yi's perseverance. Fairy City. When Bai Yan first stepped through the ruins of the Wang family's estate, her heart literally sank at the tragedy that has fallen this household. It's a devastating scene. There's blood everywhere and countless bodies piled across the courtyard. Just like his mother, Bai Shechen's reaction was just as bad but more exaggerated due to his tender age. Running inside with a panicking face, Wang Xiaopeng, chubby, Wang Xiaotong, sister, Uncle Wang. He searched and searched. Sadly, the kid found no traces of the pair of siblings that he so dearly wishes to see. Mother. Clinging onto the woman's dress after failing to find anyone, the little steambun's tear-stricken face looked pale and horrified. Xiaopeng and Xiaotong are both gone. I can't find them or Uncle Wang anywhere. Did they face an accident like the rest here? Giving her son a comforting rub on the head, think positive, it's good that you didn't find them yet. It proves they are still alive. Really? There's a pinch of hope in the kid's face. Mother must be right. If I can't find their bodies, then that can only mean they either ran away or hid somewhere. Then from out of the blue, a slight rustling sound from another spot of the manor had caught their attention. Before, the boy only searched the main rooms and guest rooms, not the wooden shack housing the firewood near the kitchen. Therefore, Bai Yan's gaze almost immediately turned towards that direction without a second thought after picking up the movement. There must be someone inside the firewood shack in that direction. Lowering her voice in a hushed tone, she leads the boy and little Missy over in tittering steps. Misty Fairy House Crisis 3. In the fit of the moment, the poor girl's snot and tears had smothered up the boy's clothing. Towards his now messy self, Bai Shuchen definitely didn't like it. After all, he's a clean and tidy little fox, not a dirty one like those in the wild. Hurrying to retreat a step so he has some distance, Xiaotong, don't be afraid, we are here to save you all. Tell me what happened first. Blurry from her own tears, Wang Xiaotong finally manages to get herself together. I do not know what is going on either. A group of evil men just barged into my home before and demanded my father to open the gate into the Misty Fairy house. Daddy refused, of course. That's when they started to kill everyone and kidnapped brother. It was Daddy who hid me in the firewood shack, so when I heard someone coming back again, I got scared and made that noise earlier. What she really meant with the last part was that she didn't know help has arrived, otherwise she would have ran out at the first sign of Bai Yan's arrival. Wang Deqiu, father, and Wang Xiaopeng, chubby, is inside the Misty Fairy house? Furrowing her brow at that knowledge, Bai Yan then shifts her attention down to the dragoness beside herself. Dragony, can you look after Xiaotong for now? It will be dangerous to bring her along. Okay, showing a sweet smile, Queen, I will protect her while you and His Highness is away. Don't worry about us. Queen. Highness? Wang Xiaotong wrinkled her temple, seemingly confused by the way Dragony addressed the mother and son pair. According to this little girl's memory, Di Tsang was only a noble. Son, we will go save Wang Xiaopeng now. Holding her son's hand, then ducking down a little to caress the Missy's hair. It won't be long, Dragony, we will be back very soon. She nods vehemently, I will be here waiting and not go anywhere. Towards this young dragoness, Bai Yan has a lot of confidence in her will to follow orders. Aside from the fact that she bloomed quite late in her life, there's not much else to fickle about. Therefore, she didn't delay at all and left after leaving behind a confident smile. Due to their previous visit through the Wang family's home, the Bai Yan was able to easily locate the giant bronze gate. Fortunately, the entrance remained open, so the woman was able to save a lot of time in opening up a portal for herself. Adding in the fact that she's stronger and familiar with the process, she easily managed to keep her cool from the teleportation process. Mother. Tightly grasping his mother's hand, Bai Shuchen scans the surrounding terrain. Are we going to find Granshifu Zhongnan and Granshifu Zhongbei first? Something this big would have surely roused their attention, so we will head to the main house instead. They are certain to be there by now. In saying this, Bai Yan quickly picks up her boy and flash steps into the core area. On the main streets, multitude of bodies are now lying across the ground. Some mangled, some dismembered, but all were most certainly dead. There are however some still alive here though. Guarded by her people, Huan Yin, cured girl, anxiously watches her people fall one after the other. Guardian Zhao's order, none here in the Misty Fairy house is allowed to live. The man opposite to those residing here raises a hand to give the order. The guards protecting Huan Yin needed no more words to ready themselves for the final battle. Drawing their blades, the two opposing forces clashed, followed the kill word. Misty Fairy House Crisis 5, Clank. While the womanizer was preoccupied with his quibbling, a long sharp sword had come swinging over. In the urge of the moment, the older brother Yun Feng did the only thing he knew how and raised his own blade to fend off the attack. Unfortunately, the the consequences of this act were a hard hit to his own body from the recoiling force. Spewing blood from the mouth, Bai Yan's father was now ghostly white in the face. Yun Feng. Jun Tianyu, mother, exclaims in great fright, "Don't worry about me and my husband, you all go protect my sons." Chief Wu Wei also supported his wife's decision and commanded the elders to do as she says. "Didn't you hear my wife? Go now." Not able to refuse the order, the remaining elders could only evacuate to the two young lords' side. There were some other forces coming to help, but somehow the numbers have sharply dropped in the past couple of minutes. Now there's only the remaining half of the original fighting force of the main household. Ha ha ha. Guardian Zhao starts cackling with laughter after seeing the crumbling line of the defenders. "Oh, Chief Wu Wei, are you still waiting for reinforcements to come? I got bad news for you though. The rest of the powers in the Misty Fairy House should have been killed by my people already, and I also sent some powerful subordinates to the Dragon Clan here. I speculate all of them are dead by now. So." The person sneers with sarcasm, "There won't be anyone coming to help you." "Oh. Is that so?" Right when Guardian Zhao was being so confident while divulging his own plan, this quaint yet ridiculing voice decides to cut down from above. It's all too familiar to those from the Misty Fairy House, so they all looked up in shock. "Yenner, Xiachen." Yun Feng nearly lost his soul upon recognizing who it was. "Why did you two return? Leave. Hurry and get away from here." Not moving from her spot up in the air, Bai Yan stares down at the group of enemies like she's found her prey. "Yenner." Seeing the disobedience, the poor man literally puked a mouthful of blood due to the urgency. He's about to lose it and stumbled backwards. "Father." Bai Yan's dampened expression finally cracked at this change. Showing a slint of panic, she dives down with her son in tow. "Grandfather, are you all right?" Blinking innocently, Bai Shechen's voice carried a tone of worry when he asked after landing. Despite the incessant coughing, Yun Feng desperately clasped onto the child's shoulder. "Xiachen, you must listen to grandfather here. Take your mother and leave here before it's too late." "Yenner, Yun Feng is right, you shouldn't have come back." Jun Tianyu makes a bittersweet smile and comments as well. "Does the heavens not want our Misty Fairy House to live?" Bai Shechen had wanted to explain the situation to these desperate family members, however, an urgent yet excited voice had caught the boy off guard. "Xiachen, did you come here to save us?" Following source, the boy soon saw who it was. Hiding in one corner was Wang Xiaopeng, one of the few friends Bai Xiachen had in this world. "Are you alright, Xiaopeng? Where's Uncle Wang?" Misty Fairy House Crisis, 6. "Oh, my old man's hurt and can't move from the bed. But don't worry, he's not going to die." "Then what are you doing here?" Bai Shechen frowns and asked with an exasperated voice. "What is Xiaopeng doing here and not taking care of Uncle Wang if he's injured? I wanted to see if I can help in any way." Hanging that head, the chubby makes an apologetic face. If he hadn't been caught by these assailants, then his old man wouldn't have opened the gate to the Misty Fairy House, nor would there be a river of blood. Well, that's what this chubby assumed in his little head anyways. But in truth, that's not the case. If Wang Deqiu didn't open the gates, then these invaders would have killed the chubby and his old man. Afterwards they could easily open the gate through other means regardless of their cooperation, just that it would take some extra time. "Yenner, Xiachen." Yun Feng's injury starts acting up again, causing him to cough harder than before and pulling the pair's attention over. "You, Fumf," he coughs again when trying to speak. Knowing the issue, Bai Yan takes advantage of the timing and pops a pill into her father's mouth. The effects were fast working. Merely seconds later, a warm current could be felt circulating across the organs and veins, healing and mending whatever damage the last blow has caused that body. "Father, the Holy Land and Medicine sect also suffered the same crisis as the Misty Fairy House." "What?" Yun Feng exclaims at the knowledge. Struggling to get up using his own sword, he turns to ask with worry on the face, "Then what about my in-laws and those 3 old heads from the Holy Land, are they okay?" "They're fine, father. Do you think I will be here otherwise?" She gives a reassuring smile before turning around to confront the leader of this bunch. Guardian Zhao didn't miss the conversation considering how good his hearing was. Though he's greatly surprised by the content, his darkened mood did quickly recover after thinking it through. The one in charge of conquering the medicine sect was Wu Yu of the Wu family. If what this woman claims is true, then wouldn't Elder Wu Yu be defeated or killed? That's impossible. Yes, this blasted woman must have snuck away and is spouting lies in order to bide time. The other two parties must have finished with their job already. Foolish lass, lying is not a good thing. The Holy Land and Medicine sect is already our Wu family's territory, and this misty fairy house won't be an exception. Guardian Zhao sneers at the crowd across from himself like he's superior to them all. Heck, that face was downright holding Bai Yan and the rest in contempt, disdain even. Son, you take care of your grandfather while I go finish up the fighting. Tossing the family to her son to take care of, Bai Yan didn't wait at all and disappeared in a flash. Based on the reaction speed of this arrogant bastard, Zhao was clearly inferior to his peer back at the medicine sect. Therefore, the man didn't even realize it when a blade had come swinging over. All he knew was that his throat felt a slight sting, and that's when he lost all levels of control. For those watching either from below or to one side, they were all blown away by how fast the battle ended. It wasn't some huge explosive fight, merely a single slice by the woman across Guardian Zhao's throat and a rainfall of blood. Guardian Zhao is dead? The hearts of these remaining invaders all shuddered at this notion. There's only one word in their head right now, and that was to run. Watchdog, 1, they all scattered at the sudden turn of event. However, Bai Yan wasn't going to let these fleeing cowards off for what they've done. In raising a hand, countless wind blades instantly materialized out of thin air in pursuit of the targets they were assigned. One by one, the blades shred through their assigned target and peppered them with holes. In the end, not a single enemy managed to escape. Chief Wu Wei was shocked by this amazing display of power and control. This is my granddaughter, Yun Feng's daughter. Yener. It's the woman's own father who spoke up first. Slowly coming over, Yun Feng reveals a faint smile of joy at his own child's achievement. You girl, when did you grow this strong? You nearly scared me to death just now, you know that? Father, faintly showing a smile of her own, Bai Yan felt warm and kind despite the carnage she unleashed mere seconds ago. My strength is nothing still. In order to find my mother, I still have a long way to go. But no matter how difficult the road was, she won't give up. Yun Feng's heart quivered at the thought. Due to all the events lately, he's almost forgotten his wife Bai Ning was still unaccounted for. Making a sigh, Yener, what's your next plan then? Father, you should know I have a brother while I was living in the Bai house back at the Luhua kingdom. Right now he's outside training by himself and I'm unsure of his whereabout. I want to go find him first. Wait. Chief Wu Wei practically cried out the objection after hearing what she plans to do. You cannot go for the time being. Father? Yun Feng was perplexed by his old man's sudden outburst. Then again, it wasn't just him. The younger brother Sun Huan and mother Jun Tianyu was also quite taken aback by this. Understanding his strong reaction had caught everyone's attention, Chief Wu Wei knew he had to explain lest the misunderstanding continues. I believe I know what these people want. If it was only our Misty Fairy House who got attacked, then I would be as confused as you all on their reasoning, but since they also attacked the Medicine Sect and Holy Land, then there's only one reasoning. Turning around, Bai Yan's gaze tightly locked onto her own grandfather like she wants to see through him. You're certain? I'm quite confident on it. But this matter will have to wait until Bai Chang Feng and Chu Ran makes it over here, then I can tell you. I'm sure they're already on their way to discuss the matter. Making a dry cough all of a sudden to clear his throat, Chief Wu Wei then got to the other main reason for his outburst. And, your grandmother's birthday is coming up in a few days. Can you stay until then to celebrate with us? Giving her husband a warning stare, Jun Tianyu didn't feel the same way. Why are you bringing that up now? If Yener wants to go find her brother, then let her do that first. It's not like I only have one birthday. Next year's will be just as fine. She didn't want to delay her granddaughter merely for something so simple. On the other hand, Bai Yen was taken aback by the news. Keeping quiet for a brief moment, she eventually complied. I am in no hurry, grandmother. If your birthday is coming up, then of course I and Xiachen can stay for the celebration. Moreover, I also want to learn the reasoning behind the attacks by the spirit realm's denizen. Chief Wu Wei undoubtedly felt relieved at having them stay. Ever since that day when they realized the girl's identity, the family has never gotten much opportunity to patch things up. This would be the perfect chance to cultivate some feelings between the young and old. Mother, Bai Shechen suddenly tugs at his own mother's hand using an innocent voice. Can we go check up on Uncle Wang? He's injured and most likely needs mother's help. Okay. She readily answers the boy's wish. Watchdog, 2, Xiaopeng, where is your father now? Sister Bai Yen, I'll take you to my father, I'm sure he will be very happy to see you. Lighting up in that meat galore of a face, Wang Xiaopeng's jiggling body looked like it would drop a piece of meat off at any moment when he's walking. Watching that departing boy's back, Bai Yen couldn't help but muse. Xiaopeng seems to have gotten chubbier since the last time we met. That body shape would surely affect him. I better do some research in the weight loss field of alchemy so that he can lose those fat. But there's more urgent matters at hand, and that was to take a look at the patient. Wang Deqiu was arranged in a room some distance away from where they were. Therefore, it actually took Bai Yen a few minutes of walking before she arrives at the destination, and for some reason, the chubby made sure to stick close to the woman. Perhaps the chubby still didn't recover from the frightful experience, so he needed some sense of security. It's a good thing you sold those Dan pills to my family back then, Sister Bai Yen. The stuff saved my father after they tried killing him. All jolly in the face, Wang Xiaopeng readily ran inside to lead the way. Lying on the bed was undoubtedly Wang Deqiu according to observation. However, the lively middle-aged man who likes to smack his own boy when grumpy was nowhere to be found. Instead, it's a sickly-looking male without any trace of blood on the face. Sure, the Dan pill did save Wang Deqiu's life after being severely injured, but it's not something trivial in any manner of the word for most anyways. Your father's injury is no big deal for me. I'll give him another type of medicine in my possession. After some rest and recuperation on his own part, he will be up and running again. Seeing her former neighbor alive most certainly brought on a sense of relief for Bai Yen after seeing how many dead there are on the streets. Oh yes, Xiaopeng, your little sister and Dragony is still at your home back outside the gate. Go with Xiachen and pick them up, okay? Leaving the two little lasses alone for a few hours were fine, but a few days was another matter. That's why she's going to have the two boys go in her stead. Don't worry, mother, me and Xiaopeng will go pick up Dragony and Xiaotong. Nothing will happen while we're on the job. All childish in the face, Bai Shechen fails miserably at trying to act reliable and adult-like. Go ahead then. Chuckling at that hilarious image, Bai Yen rubs her boy's head and gave the go-ahead. Come Xiaopeng, let's go pick up the girls. We don't need any adult watching us work. Towards this form of his friend, the chubby just found it strange. Sure, Bai Shechen was still Bai Shechen according to the chubby's assessment, but there's more to it. More mature? Not quite. Just different and more dominating. Just as Wang Xiaopeng was being indecisive on his own thought, the foxy boy himself had already dragged his friend out the door. In no time at all, the two young boys were out of sight and nowhere to be found. Back over in the Wang estate, Wang Xiaotong was currently eyeing the front door endlessly. She didn't say a word, only staring at the front, hopeful and worrisome. On the other hand, Dragony was quite talkative despite stuffing herself with some pastry she found somewhere. You don't have to worry about your family, the queen and the prince are very powerful people, so they can handle the enemies without question. In the little dragoness's heart, Bai Yen was practically invincible, and her son Bai Shechen naturally inherited the fine bloodline as well. Watchdog, 3, Dragony didn't forget about Di Tsong's existence, just that in the Missy's head the guy didn't matter even if he was the Demon King. Pinching those lips, Wang Xiaotong didn't get any better. My brother is such a coward, he must be scared to death against those fierce-looking men. It's all right, even if he dies, Her Highness will be able to go to the underworld and bring him back. Dragony proudly cocks her chin high to showcase how much confidence she has in Bai Yen. Unfortunately, those words of comfort only had the opposite effect. Going pale, Wang Xiaotong breaks out crying, "Brother died, he died, wah. If he's dead then no one is going to bully me, no one is going to steal my snacks, and no one is going to fight me for Brother Xiachen." The little dragoness was gobsmacked by what she's heard. This girl, is she cursing her own brother or celebrating his death? "Wang Xiaotun, what did you say about me stealing your snack, and who is fighting you for Xiachen?" All of a sudden, an enraged roar breaks over from the front, startling the crying girl until she discovered who the owner of that voice was. "Brother." A surge of happiness comes out of Wang Xiaotong's face. Without delay, she throws herself into that ball of meaty flesh. "Brother, I'm so happy you are alive. From listening to what you said just now it sounded more like you can't wait for me to be dead." The chubby rolls his eye at the sister. But instead of arguing like the siblings usually do, the little sister simply wiped her tears and snot at the brother's shirt. Feeling all icky around the chest area, Wang Xiaopeng promptly pushes the crybaby aside. That face couldn't be any more disgusted. "Damn it, Xiaotong, how old are you already? How can you be this gross, you?" Then just as he was about to lecture the girl about what it means to be a female and how she should behave, the beautiful young lady further behind his own sister had instantly captured the chubby's attention. Though Dragonie's mouth was still clinging with pastry crumbs from all the stuff she's been eating, it couldn't hide her fine contour. In fact, it only gave her a touch of naive and lovely air. "Oh Dragonie, do you remember me?" Grinning right up to his chubby eyes, Wang Xiaopeng begins his usual pick-up phrase. This would be the second time this boy had met the dragoness. The first being when Bai Yan brought the two kids to the Wang family before stepping into the misty fairy house. For this chubby, he could vow to the heavens he's been love-struck. An arrow straight through the heart and love at first sight. On the contrary though, Dragonie herself only felt troubled by the added attention. Turning to the princely boy in her view, she pleads for help using her own eyes. "Wang Xiaopeng." Bai Shechen swiftly cuts in between her friend and the girl. Pushing the chubby a bit back like a mother hen, "You already have a little sister so you are not allowed to hit on mine. One is not enough for you? Boss, you don't understand, this is what you call a helpless act. Once you grow up then you will understand." Wang Xiaopeng then makes a heaving long sigh, just like those adults do when discussing certain topics of love. Prince, Dragonie didn't care about the extra around herself, she only wanted to fill her tummy at this moment. In order to rectify the problem, she turns to the little steam bun for help. "I'm hungry, can we go get something to eat?" Easing up at the plead, Bai Xiachen still shot a warning stare at his own friend before turning back to the missy. "Don't worry Dragonie, we can go into the misty fairy house first. There is a lot of fine food in there." Taking that hand without permission, the little steam bun led the way inside without a second thought. Meanwhile in the back, Wang Xiaopeng really wanted to throw his hats off for this boss of his. That sort of smooth talking went beyond anything he could manage. Heck, it's leagues ahead of his old man's usual attempts as well. Che, when did the Dragon Cove restaurant become so low class? Even a guard dog is allowed to come in? It's right after the kids entered the restaurant that this derisive comment shot out. Where's the dog? How come I don't see a dog? All confused and curious, the chubby scans the area for signs of said dog. Ha ha ha. A burst of laughter rocked the restaurant, their voices filled with contempt. The Wang family must be filled with idiots. Your family is in charge of watching our door, so of course you are that dog. Watchdog 5. This time Wang Xiaopeng had no illusion about who that person was referring to now. Angry and somewhat embarrassed, the chubby immediately turns to glare at the outspoken man. Yet, instead of finding an adult like he expected, it's another boy around 14 years of age, or so in appearance anyways, that's trying to mock their group. "Who are you?" The youth sneered. "Wang Chubby, you seem to have forgotten the event from a few months ago. I and my father had just finished our business outside and was returning to the Misty Fairy house, but because we lost our identification badge, your blasted father refused to let us back in." The previous head of the Wang house was Wang Deqiu's father. That meant the chubby's old man wouldn't have any impression of who belongs or whatnot. In the end, the fault remains to be on the youth's end if they got down to it. After all, that's the rules set by the main house. It's not like Wang Deqiu deliberately stalled the party from returning. Realizing what the other side was referring, the chubby makes an astonished face. So it's you? Who can you blame for that incident other than yourself? It's you and your family who lost your identification token. We only followed the rules. Impudent. The youth slams the table and jerks up. Your Wang family is only in charge of watching the gate, a watchdog, and all of us inside the misty fairy house are your masters. How dare a dog try to block its master from coming home? If this isn't your family's fault, then who else? Wang Xiaopeng naturally didn't take the word watchdog well since someone's making fun of his family. Flushing red in the face, the chubby directly rushes the youth and causes the guy to stumble backwards due to the loss of balance. Then, just as the person wanted to react after realizing what has happened, a pair of chopsticks had come flying over and pinning his sleeve to a wall behind himself. This greatly startled the youth in question. As per reflex, the youngster reached over to pull it out in order to free himself. Yet, the unexpected happened. He couldn't regardless of how he tried. This gave the chubby the opening he needed. Coming face first, who are you calling a watchdog? Your whole family is the watchdog. You. The youth ends up pointing his free hand accusingly in return out of frustration and inability to move. But then who could have guessed, another pair of chopsticks had come flying over, nailing his remaining free hand to the wall. Of course, the youth was absolutely outraged by this preposterous situation. Sadly, even when using his strongest strength to rip his own sleeves off, he couldn't, like some mysterious force was reinforcing his clothes. What are you idiots doing? The youth angrily turns to his own personal guards for help. Hurry and come save me. Huh? Those bodyguards were stoically dumbfounded. It's just some chopsticks. How can the young master be so weak that he can't even tear some clothes off? Now he wants us to save him. But opinionated thoughts were only just that, thoughts. They wouldn't really ignore their employer and hurried over for the task. Oddly enough though, the youth didn't lash out at the chubby as soon as he was freed by his men. Instead, he's searching the restaurant with those burning eyes. Who attacked me in secret? For those uninvolved and just want to enjoy the good show, these poor customers were having a hard time keeping their laughter in. Nevertheless, that slight smirk on their faces gave them away easily enough. Ignoring the snickering laughter directed at himself, the youth cries out for a second time. Who is the bastard that threw those chopsticks at me? I dare you to come out and confront me. Those eyes were bloodshot red and his panting breath showed how indignant and outraged he was. Watchdog, 6. It's then at this moment a childish voice answered that demand. You were too noisy just now. In that instant, everyone's attention was glued to the child's face. Around 6 to 7 in appearance, aside from that adorable contour, there's not much else special these customers could discern from the boy. Who is it that attacked me? How dare you do it, not have the nerve to step forward? The youth dismisses the boy as the perpetrator and continues to scream at thin air. Pa! It was Dragone's turn to slam the table knee, causing the occupants of said table to jump in fright. His Highness said you're yapping too much, didn't you hear him? A flare of anger comes off of the missy's face. Since you like yapping so much, then I will make it so you shut up for good. Slap. No one could figure out how Dragony managed to get right up to the youth so quickly, but that loud smacking hit across the face said it all. And if hitting the teen wasn't bad enough, the impact had directly caused that cheek to swollen up into a purplish red lump. A pig face, that's how swollen it has become. Turning back over in dismay after being hit, you. Sadly, the teen's words didn't even get to finish before another round of smacking came swinging over. Left, right, Dragony pulls off a duo attack with both her hands until the youth's head had become a rocking drum. Now one could barely recognize this swollen lump of bruised up meat as the teenager from earlier. Poof! Suddenly, a mouthful of blood came spitting out of the teen's mouth. Mixed in with plenty of broken teeth in that puddle, no one wanted to look at this painful sight. But apparently this little lesson wasn't enough to scare off the youngster. A jumbled garbled slew of words came pouring out of that pig face. Obviously it's some kind of curse word or threat. The guards that came along may not know what their employer was trying to say, just like every other customer in the restaurant, but they could already take a good guess and decides to act as an interpreter. Just you wait, Wang Chubby, our house master will definitely make a case with the chief's house. Be prepared to be expelled from the Misty Fairy house. Bai Shechen bursts out laughing. All right, I'll wait for you to come expel me. Young master, let's go back and tell your father about this. I'm sure he will avenge you. Since the guards were too cowardly to fight, they didn't let their employer, but in another word, and forcibly dragged the teen off without a second delay. Prince, Dragony cheerfully comes up to the little steam bun after seeing the group disappear. Those people are gone now, so they won't be bothering us anymore. Better yet, there's now a seat open for us. Good job, Dragony, you did well there. Bai Shechen praises the girl by giving her a pat on the head. This was how Bai Yan rewards him when he does something well, so the act has become his way of approving others as well. Young sirs and lady, the waiter decides to chime in with some advice after seeing how carefree the kids were acting when strolling towards the table. It's best if you all return home to find your elders right away to discuss a solution, otherwise you may really be expelled from the Misty Fairy house. Don't be silly, someone that is able to kick my boss out of the Misty Fairy house still hasn't been born yet. The chubby snorts at the advice and dumps his big ass onto the chair to indicate his decision. It's exactly as the chubby says. Bai Shechen was the grandson of the chief's house. If anything, it's the other way around and the youth should be panicking. You must get justice for us. 1. The main estate of the Misty Fairy house. Chief Wu Wei was just in the middle of giving commands to his people and cleaning up the yard when a guard rushed over to interrupt his business. Chief, the Dou family's housemaster Dou Tian requests an audience. Showing a slight frown, the chief's voice sounded annoyed. Did he say for what reason? It sounds like it's related to Wang Deqiu and his son. The guard nervously takes a peek at his liege's reaction. It's no secret that it was Wang Deqiu who allowed those from the spirit realm to enter the Misty Fairy house unhindered and caused a bloodbath, but after it became public knowledge that the chubby and Bai Shechen has become good friends, any dissent was squashed promptly then afterwards. Forget about getting mad at the Wang family, simply gossiping behind their back has become something dangerous for those living in the Misty Fairy house. After all, Bai Yan's connection reached as far as the medicine sect and Holy Land. Only a fool would poke at this hornet's nest. Let him in. Though impatient and slightly annoyed, Chief Wu Wei still wanted to know what has happened to warrant a personal visit from the head of a family clan here. Yes, Chief. Minutes later, a middle-aged man quickly walked into the yard, followed closely behind by a young man whose face was now a bruised-up mess. It's so bad that it's difficult to make out his actual appearance. Chief Wu Wei couldn't deny he's quite startled by that pig head of a face from someone oh so young. Hurrying to ask the reasoning, what's going on here? How did he get beat to such a state? Chief. Dou Tian grabs his son and got to their knees, their voices pleading, you must get justice for my son here. He was still fine this morning, but now he's become like this because of someone's ruthless attacker. The young man also made some whimpering sound to enforce the claim. If one didn't know any better, it's very likely they would believe he suffered some great grievance. Wrinkling his brow, Chief Wu Wei found this quite troubling. Don't tell me the one who beat your son into this state is Wang Xiaopeng, right? Regarding the chubby's outrageous deeds in the past, even this chief himself has heard some of them stories. Now thinking back to his guard's tone when passing the message, he's now starting to believe the plausibility of said claim. Pity though, this Wang Xiaopeng was his grandson's friend. Regardless of the reasoning or what's right or wrong, he has a duty to protect his own lest he destroys the last strand of bond he has left with Bai Yan and her son. The matter with the eldest Yun Feng still hasn't been settled yet, so this chief doesn't want to add any more incriminating factors to his own case. He's already on the last stand before being abandoned by the whole family. No, said Dou Tian, biting his teeth through and through. You must get justice for us, too. When the youth recognized how familiar those two voices were, he immediately jumped up with excitement only to be followed by another loud and somewhat arrogant voice from the new entry. Boss, you are too picky. I think the restaurant's food tasted just fine. If anything, it's that dog who likes to bite others which tainted the mood. Woo-woo. The youth kept making whimpering sounds. Though vague and indecipherable, those angry eyes were dead set on the group of children who just walked into the yard. Likewise, the kids had also taken notice of the kneeling father and son pair, causing them to stop in their track. Son, Do Tian suppresses his inner anger. Is this the group who attacked you? The youth nodded hurriedly, those eyes flaring with rage. I now have father and the chief acting as my support, as if I would be scared of them now. Thinking of this, the young man's pig face actually revealed a look of pride. Cocking that messed up chin, he arrogantly glared at the children like he's about to step on some insignificant ant. Bai Shechen on the other hand could care less what the other side thought or wanted of him. Showing an innocent and bright smile, the little steambun hurriedly ran over to the chief's side and tugged at the grandpa's sleeve. Great-grandfather, I'm so happy to see you. Now that's what you call a bullseye. Chief Wu Wei literally felt his bones melting away from that word. Seriously, only the heavens would know how miserable he's been since that day where they discovered that the goddess was no more than a fraudulent maid. Not only has his 2 sons and wife been ignoring him the entire time since then, Bai Yan still hasn't recognized him as her grandfather yet. Thank goodness, at least someone in this family recognizes my status. Chief Wu Wei cries tears of joy at the sudden achievement he felt. Do Tian had originally wanted to make a case against this group of kids until he heard the way Bai Shechen addressed the grandpa. Almost instantaneous, the man had become as hard as a rock and stared in horror at the boy. Great-grandfather? Then that means his mother is the rumored biological granddaughter of the chief and Yunfeng's biological daughter? Like his old man, the youth who was still being overly excited at the possible chance of revenge was now staring his eyes out in absolute shock. Shit! The boy's mother is Yunfeng's daughter? What the fuck is this setting? All I did was insult this chubby a few words and now I've attracted this dangerous group. Good Shechen, great-grandfather here is very happy to see you too. Losing that stern air from earlier, Chief Wu Wei gently caresses the boy's head like a loving grandpa. Now tell me, what happened while you were outside? Blinking innocently without a hint of devious nature, before this person from the Dou family insulted Xiaopeng and his family, saying he's my friend's master. And since Wang Xiaopeng is my follower, me being his boss, I naturally have a duty to do something. Couple this with the rude words he said to me, Dragony went ahead in my stead to teach him a lesson. Although Wang Xiaopeng was older than this little steambun by a few years, it doesn't mean anything. As long as the chubby recognizes the boy as the boss, then he's the boss. Strength has no age limit, that's a rule everyone recognizes in this world. Chief Wu Wei's expression promptly got cold when turning around to face the pair of deceitful liars. Did that happen as my boy says? Do Tian knew they were screwed now. Forcibly dragging his son back down to the floor, the man shakes profusely for he knew what awaited them both for creating this fiasco. You must get justice for us. 3. Chief, I didn't know this little boy is the recently recovered grandson of Master Yunfeng's. I implore your lordship to have mercy on our ignorance. Banging his head against the floorboard, the man known as Do Tian quickly forced his own son to do the same after seeing how cluelessly dull the teen was acting. You brat, how dare you provoke Sir Shechen here? Quickly apologized to him. After the initial kowtows, the man also attempted to soothe the mood with that so-called charming smile of his. Sir Shechen, you lectured my son well. This brat here only knows how to go make trouble outside day in and day out. It's a blessing for me and my clan that you would have your maid discipline my son in our stead. Originally Do Tian only wanted to flatter and kiss up to the boy, but his words weren't thought out very well and hit a bump instead. Dragony isn't my maid, she's my little sister. Bai Shechen clearly sounded upset in his voice. If you keep talking nonsense then I will have great-grandfather here tear your mouth apart. Shuddering with great fright, Do Tian looked dangerously white because he never expected this mistake. It couldn't be helped. He never heard of Bai Yan having a daughter, only a son according to the rumors floating out there. I deserve to be hit. I said the wrong thing. To prove his sincerity, the man actually slapped himself rather hard. Right away, that face had swollen into a bumpy bruise like his son's. Unfortunately for the other side, Bai Shechen's temper still didn't let up. Turning away, the boy didn't want to look at them. A humph. Chief Wu Wei makes a dry cough to clear up his throat. Oh right, Do Tian, didn't you say you wanted me to get justice for you? How do you want me to help? You also said little Dragony here is a threat to everyone in the Misty Fairy House and needed me to dispose of her? Is that what you want? The housemaster of the Dou family really wanted to throw himself into a hole and never come back out right now. Misunderstanding, this is all a big misunderstanding. Partly true, it was a huge misunderstanding on his end for not investigating first. If this Dou Tian had known the one who beat his son silly was the grandson of Yun Feng and great-grandchild of the chief, then he would never show his face around here, let alone have the guts to come demanding justice. Misunderstanding? Chief Wu Wei chuckles coldly to emphasize his displeasure. Your misunderstanding really is a big one. Are you planning to say my home here is a threat as well? Collapsing to the floor and unable to get back up, Dou Tian felt despair at what the chief meant by that last comment. It's pretty much a death sentence for his clan even if they do get out of this unscathed. Who would ever use them again? Who would ever cooperate with them again? None, that's who. You must get justice for us, for, if it weren't for this brat then I wouldn't be so miserable. Can't beat a bug, did you not hear my words? Bai Shechen furrows up his lovely brows. He is from here on forward Xiaopeng's follower. What makes you think he can follow you home? Turning to his friend, Xiaopeng, give him a name. The chubby actually crumpled up his face over this dilemma. Apparently giving someone name was too difficult of a task for this kid. But an idea did come to him after a minute of struggling. Oh, I know. He insulted me before, so I will use the same name for him. From now on he will be Watchdog. Watchdog whimpers loudly this time towards his old man. The youth wanted to plead to his father for help because he had no wish to follow the chubby back to the Wang house. Unfortunately, the newly named can't beat a bug dismissed the pleading look he was getting and quickly left for the door. It couldn't be helped. As the master of a sizable family, the former Dou Tian was sure to have more than one son. There's hardly enough reason for him to go against the chief's command just for a son who failed him so miserably. Watching his father's fleeting back disappearing from view, Watchdog crumbles to the floor, his body paralyzed from the shock of being abandoned. Before long, 2 long trickles of tears slowly flowed down those bruised-up cheeks before this youth turned to face the 2 boys. What are you look at me for? The chubby shoots a glare in return. I am not gay, so lose that idea. What's more, it's not like you are any good looking. If you keep staring at me then watch how I will dig out your eyeballs. Watchdog instantly flinched at that threat. No longer daring to make eye contact, this former young master of the Dou house was now shaking profusely like a frightened puppy. Of course, the chubby was only throwing some threats around for the insult he received before. It's not like he would really dig the other person's eyeball out, that's too gross for the likes of him. Maybe a few more scares would suffice. Watchdog, from now on you are my follower. If I say east then you must go east. If I say west then you must go west. If I say laugh then you can't cry, understand? As the old saying goes, one must lower their head if living under another's roof. Hearing the order, Watchdog hurriedly nodded his head to indicate he understood. Good, very good, now show me a smile. Wang Xiaopeng looks down at the dog in front of himself like he's looking at a pet. Sadly, the act only had the alternative effect of disgusting the chubby. A pig face smiling to him, as if that would be decent to the eye. If anything, it might make him gag instead and have nightmares during the night. Oh, forget it, you'd better stick to crying lest I be scared to death by your face. Patting his own chest, the chubby makes a face like he still hasn't recovered yet from the shock. Ignoring the over-exaggerated play his friend was making, Bai Shechen turns to the grandpa instead. Great-grandfather, where is my mother? Oh, she's in the backyard with your great-grandmother. Okay, nodding at the answer, the little steambun led the way by holding hands with the little dragoness. Dragony, let's go find mother. The girl followed along without any protest as usual. A clever move by her, of course. However, the chubby in the background on the other hand wasn't so happy. For some reason, he's got this notion that he's been abandoned by his boss. As the madam of the house, Jun Tianyu's birthday banquet wouldn't lose out to Bai Changfeng's in any way. And since they have now learned of Bai Yan's past and who she's close with, the Lan family was also naturally invited, pushing this adopted family into the envious limelight for a second time. Exactly at this moment when her thoughts were spiraling into unnecessary worry, a familiar voice suddenly knocks her out of it from the rear. "Yenner, are you waiting for me?" Without giving her a chance to respond, a pair of powerful hands pulled her into a tight embrace. It's warm and comforting, giving her all the security she needs to feel at ease. "Where did you go? Why so late?" Visitor from the Spirit Realm. 1. I went to find you at the Holy Land and Medicine Sect, but after discovering you weren't at either places and that you're safe, I went ahead and removed the remaining people from the Spirit Realm instead. You wouldn't blame me for coming late, would you? The man's somewhat needy breath kept puffing against her neck, causing the mood to become somewhat sexual and lovely. Towards this, Bai Yan didn't mind and squints her own eyes instead before responding with a forceful kiss of her own. She's been having her tofu eaten enough times by this pervert already, so it's time for some payback. As the guests from the various factions and powers slowly trickled in throughout the day, the mood in the air had also gradually grown in kind. It's a festival rather than a simple celebration now. Due to this reasoning, the amount of patrols around the street had also been heightened. Now one could easily locate the extra manpower roaming around the place if they simply spent a minute searching. Later that night inside the banquet hall, Jun Tianyu remained seated next to her husband during the dinner, that fantastic face filled with cheers and happiness. "Dear guests, I'm so happy all of you could make it today to celebrate my birthday. As you all most likely know by now, our family has recently discovered my son has had a child years ago during his last outing." The rowdiness in the banquet hall had instantly been snuffed out, their ears pricked up to listen closely to what this madam had to say. They may have known about Yun Feng recognizing his daughter back into the family, but due to the level of security and lack of information caused by the Misty Fairy House's secrecy, these guests today knew nothing about who the girl was. "Today, I'm going to take advantage of my birthday banquet to have my granddaughter return to her ancestry." Jun Tianyu's gaze then turned towards Bai Yan and her son, that voice filled with gentle warmth. Looks were being exchanged among the crowd like they're having their own ideas. For one thing, marriage would definitely be a topic of discussion if it turns out the girl hasn't been married yet. Unfortunately for these people though. Exactly at this moment when the mood was at its highest, a loud smacking bang had knocked them off their feet. It's too sudden and too out of place for the situation. What do you two mean by that statement? Bai Changfeng's fist was still planted into the table, that heavy dent showing how infuriated this grandpa was. "I was kind enough to let you two recognize my precious granddaughter, but now you want her to enter your ancestry book? Dream on. My granddaughter must follow my last name of Bai." Bang! Chief Wu Wei also grew enraged. Slapping the table, the chief was all fire in that face. "Bai Changfeng, you are only a grandfather of the female side while my son is her father. Based on what can you make her follow your last name? If you want a grandchild to follow your surname, then go get your son Bai Zhangpeng to give you one. So what if I'm on the mother's side of the family? Don't forget, I'm the one who first found my granddaughter. Besides, if it wasn't for you bastards from the Misty Fairy House, would my daughter be missing still and without clue on her whereabout? I still haven't settled the score with you yet. Now you're trying to steal my granddaughter. Do you take me for decorations or something?" "You," Chief Wu Wei points at his in-law accusingly, but at the thought of Bai Ning still being missing, he couldn't deny he's definitely at fault. Out of guilt, he grinds his teeth and mutters the only response he could come up with: "You are simply unreasonable." Compared with these two red-faced old fellas who are spazzing at each other without a care for the strange looks coming there, the group from the Holy Land were rather bland in their faces. In fact, they're just continuing their drinking and watching this show play out like this didn't matter to them one bit. Visitor from the Spirit Realm, 2. It didn't matter anyways to these three elders from the Holy Land. Regardless of what surname Bai Yan takes on, she would always be their precious disciple and they her Shifu. Yener. Just when Jingqi, first, and others were rejoicing in their own fortune, a boisterous laugh from the sides suddenly destroys their moment. It was elder Zhongnan and his younger brother from the Misty Fairy House, and their eyes were without good intent. Of course, the negative intention was only in the eyes of the three and not in reality. Since the chief is your grandfather, why don't you just stay at the Misty Fairy House for good, Yener? Us two brothers only have you as our disciple, we can't bear to see you leave. Wah. Qiao Shurong's third, old face went from white to green, then green to white. He's never been very good at controlling his own temper, so he literally flipped the table instead of just slamming it. What is the Misty Fairy House's meaning? We are already kind enough to come attend this celebration and now you're all trying to abduct our disciple? The third elder was full of anger when staring death daggers at Zhongnan and his younger brother. Ren Yi, second, as well. Making a heavy huffing grunt, this usually calm second elder also stood up to make a stand. You think she's not our only disciple? Also, first come first serve. We are her Shifus first, so you two old farts from the Misty Fairy House can stand to one side and wait. That's right. Jingqi, first, was more inclined to fighting instead of just talking, that's why his knuckles are making crunching sounds at the moment. Yen Yen is my disciple, even if she does stay at somewhere then it's going to be at the Holy Land. What makes you all think the Misty Fairy House is anywhere good enough to accommodate her? I don't mind telling you all now, the Holy Island is hers already. Or does anyone here can say they got a better place than the Holy Island? The guests were absolutely gobsmacked by this mess that's quickly spiraling out of control. The banquet was going so well at first, how did these old men from the three powers end up fighting it up? And Yunfeng's daughter is also Bai Yan? This. Exactly at the same second, everyone's expression had gone stiff as a rock. The main reason being that they now realize the extent of what this all means. The woman was not only the disciple of these three main elders from the Holy Land, but also the granddaughter of the medicine sect. Now she's also the Misty Fairy House's young miss, Yunfeng's daughter. That literally makes the three major powers her background. Who else out there could match this powerful backup? Bai Yan on the other hand wasn't so pleased. Not going to have any of this, her face goes dark as she contracted her fingers into a trembling fist. Unfortunately, the worshipping husband beside her was still acting all nonchalant and kept feeding her pastries on the table. Di Tsung clearly didn't think much of the quarreling old men in front of himself, and that just made the situation even worse. Enough. Finally losing it, Bai Yan slams the table and gets up, causing the entire hall to go silent in its entirety. Still showing veins on her forehead, today is my grandmother's birthday. If you men want to fight, then do it tomorrow. Go outside if you all want to continue making noise. Sure enough, the woman's word held the weight that it should. They stopped and stepped back in unison like good old adult children like they were. Yener, I have discussed this with your grandmother before and wanted to take advantage of this banquet to bring you back into the ancestry books. Chief Wu Wei meekly speaks up. This grandpa knew he's the one with the weakest leg to stand on, so he could only make a case by pleading. Returning to the ancestry book is fine. Granddaughter? Bai Chang Feng grew urgent after hearing that and immediately moved over to tug at the girl's sleeve. It's just. Bai Yan's gaze turns to the two grandfathers respectively. I am used to using the surname Bai already, and I'm sure my son is also used to it. So, we will not be changing it. Visitor from the Spirit Realm, 3, hearing this answer, Bai Chang Feng couldn't say he's not relieved and shot a cheeky look to his counterpart. In return, Chief Wu Wei really wanted to so dearly run over there and slap that annoying face off if he could. Sadly, forget about slapping, he didn't even have the nerve to yell at the other side under Bai Yan's presence. Anything you wish, my dear, we will do as you say. All flattering, the chief carefully complies with the demand without any hint of being dissatisfied. After all, if not for him and his decision, Bai Yan's mother wouldn't have been seriously injured back then, nor would Bai Ning, mother, disappear for so many years. Precious granddaughter, let's ignore this guy. Bai Chang Feng huffs a grunt and found it unpleasurable knowing the other man's going to partially get away with the request. No matter how forgiving Bai Yan and her son was to Chief Wu Wei, this lord of the medicine sect would never forgive the other side unless something drastic occurs. The miserable days he spent thinking about his missing daughter are still vividly clear in his old head, and the picture of his dying wife crying in the deathbed for him to locate Bai Ning literally brought him to tears. There's too much sorrow involved with the matter and he's not that gracious to act as a saint. Of course, Bai Yan herself wouldn't know about why her grandfather would be so against her name being returned to the ancestry book, but she too wouldn't forgive Chief Wu Wei so easily either. She has her own grudge towards the man. Yes, it's true her relationship with her father Yun Feng and grandmother Jun Tianyu was well and good, but it doesn't excuse what Chief Wu Wei did and the resulting traumatic experience she had to go through in the Bai house. Chief, the guests finally came back to their sense and struggled to speak up after making a heavy gulp. Miss Bai Yan is Lord Yun Feng's daughter? That's right, she is my granddaughter. The chief holds his head high. It didn't matter to this shameless man that the girl never called him grandfather even once yet. In his mind, he has a whole lifetime to mend the relationship since they're blood related. On the other hand though, these guests were rather bittersweet after getting a clear-cut answer. If it was any other person then they would surely try to send their son to woo the girl in order to get into the Misty Fairy house, but this was Bai Yan they're looking at. Forget about having thoughts, they didn't even dare to look that way out of fear for that silvery-haired husband of hers. Chief, Chief! Suddenly, a hurried voice came from the door, causing them all to look over for the source. They could see it was one of the men in charge of security, and due to the urgency of the matter, this individual ended up crashing to the floor at the doorstop and had to crawl his way over for the report. Someone is seeking an audience with you, Chief. That man claims he's from the spirit realm, and it's very likely he's part of the same group who attacked us before. Wah! The members of the three powers were all frightened by this news and jerked up from the spot. As for the other guests, they didn't know why such a strong reaction was made. After all, only those involved would know what happened due to the negative nature of the event. If it becomes known the three major powers nearly got destroyed because of some invader, then it would greatly damage their reputation and image. Visitor from the Spirit Realm, 4. A rampant discussion promptly ensues among the guests after the report became public. First Shifu, second Shifu, third Shifu, Bai Yan's eye showed a gleam of frost. If a fight breaks out later, I want you to help protect the lawn house in my stead. Yenner, Zhengqi, first, frowns after seeing the firm face the woman was making. Sighing because he knew what she intends to do. All right, we will protect the members of the lawn house. Nothing will happen to them. Precisely then, a faint chuckling laughter breaks through the doorway like a sonic boom. Though it's mild and light, it's almost magical because it was able to penetrate through their eardrums and causing considerable discomfort. Bai Yan did not like this one bit as soon as she saw the pale looks coming off of her adopted family members. Without delay, she rushes over to the Lan family members to give them a bottle of pills. Grandfather, hand these damn pills to the rest of the family. When things get active in a bit, you and everyone else must stay in the back. This medicine she's handing out was capable of allowing the user to resist the pressuring aura of others to a certain extent. If the enemy does want to fight, it would be enough to keep the Lan family from fainting or simply dying out due to their weak cultivation. Those enemies are that strong? Naturally, old Lord Lan would make a frown despite unceremoniously taking the offered bottle. Don't worry, grandfather, I'll handle this. After giving what she needed to give, Bai Yan didn't waste any more time and came before the center of the hall. In that same instant, the place had turned quiet again because the new entry had come without invitation. Raining down with flower petals, a woman wearing a pristinely white dress descends upon the crowd like a fairy from the legends. She was elegant, beautiful and pure, a perfect imitation of a celestial maiden in appearance. Also, there were countless maids wearing similarly white-colored dresses from behind, just that they're not as well made as the first one. Misty Fairy House, Holy Land, Medicine Sect, looks like the members of all three powers are gathered here already. Are you with the people who came to make trouble before? Chief Wu Wei asks with a stern voice like he demands an answer. Chuckling in a dismissive manner, the woman in white seemed rather amused by the strong front. Are you referring to the Wu family? They're no more than dogs working under me. I, Lu Qingyu, am not of the same low standard. Then why are you here? It's nothing special, I came because I only want 3 places. The Misty Fairy House's main estate, Holy Land's main island, and the medicine vault. Holy Island? By Yan's eye promptly narrowed into a slit upon having that island brought up. What does the spirit realm want to do with that little plot of land? And then there's that topic from before regarding the 3 powers. What could it be about? Is it related to these 3 specific places? It doesn't matter if you people can't decide on it on now. I'll give you 3 days worth of time to come to a decision and give me a proper answer. Don't say we from the spirit realm aren't considerate. The woman in white whisks her sleeve and wanted to leave after dumping this demand on them. We're going. Hold on, a sudden harsh voice stops them mid-track. Unfazed by this, Lu Qingyu calmly turns around to meet the female responsible for that outcry. This lady, is it because 3 days isn't long enough? No, I only want to inform you of one thing. This Misty Fairy House isn't a place where you can come as you please and leave as you wish. Now that you're here, you better leave something behind. Visitor from the Spirit Realm, 5. Lu Qingyu was honestly taken aback by that ordering shout. Are you talking to me? Ever since the demon realm was sealed a millennium ago, they too from the spirit realm were also blocked off from the outside world. That's why none of their people made a presence for so many years. But to hear this level of arrogance here today was honestly beyond her expectation. Do you know He Chu Chu? Bai Yan asks with indifferent calmness. Now that brought on a change in the person's face. You know where He Chu Chu is? I naturally know of her, Bai Yan answers with a smirk. Not long ago the seal in the demon realm was undone, so your spirit realm also gained passage to the outside world as a direct consequence of that. He Chu Chu is the one who led the group of attackers on the demon realm, and she was delusional enough to think she could subdue my hubby and make him her familiar. How laughable. In the end her people were not only defeated, she too was killed in the process. Regarding the way Bai Yan called Ditsang her hubby, it's truly candy to the demon king's ear. He could literally fall heads over heels right now if no one was looking. Heck, if they were in the bedroom, he would jump her and have an extended go in their love-making this instant. Unfortunately, this wasn't, so the best choice he had was to watch how his lovely wife would handle these people. Without deviating from expectation, that little piece of information immediately causes Lu Qingyu's expression to darken up. She and He Chu Chu may not get along very well, but they're still half-sisters. What sort of last words do you have to say for yourself? The woman in white explodes with a dangerous glint in those eyes. Oh, I only want to ask you if you are at the celestial rank or not. Rubbing her own chin in contemplation, Bai Yan's demeanor gave off the impression she's not intimidated in the least. Lu Qingyu was rather amused by her opposition's act though. Chuckling in her tone, do you think the celestial rank is that easy to achieve? Those from the celestial realm are so insidious and devious, as if they would let others from elsewhere learn of the secret in breaking through to that stage. Whether it be the demon realm or spirit realm, they are all having trouble breaking through to that level. Which means aside from those old relics that were already at that stage a millennium ago during the Great War, there shouldn't be any new ones awakening to that power. It's just that. According to Bai Yan's assessment, some of those powerful masters who attacked the demon realm were clearly at the celestial rank. Now that leaves a big gaping question in the air. How did they manage to do that when they're not from that age where it's still possible to reach that level? Are those your last words? Lu Qingyu asks again, her patience starting wear thin. Showing a smile, Bai Yan now looks to the other side like she's seeing a prey. Since you didn't break into the celestial rank, then that's easy to do. What? Blinking her eyes in clueless light, the woman in white didn't have any idea what she meant by those words. Yener. Bai Chang Feng and Chief Wu Wei were both in great shock. They understand that the girl has greatly improved in strength since the last they met, but they too could see the unwelcomed females across from themselves are unlike the last wave of attackers. They're much higher. Acting like she didn't hear their outcry, Bai Yan stretches her body a little before summoning a bony quill with a flick of her finger. This was something she pulled out of a skull dragon that attacked her during the long training session inside the holy domain. In that moment, even the room's temperature had fallen into a splitting chill due to this object. Deetsang also noticed his wife's newfound toy. How did Yen Yen get her hands on an ancient dragon's back quill? Visitor from the Spurt Realm, 6. This bony quill was equivalent to a divine relic, making it invincible against anything below the same weapon's grade. Knowing this fact, Lu Qingyu's expression also got serious. She's able to sense that ominous and threatening air coming off of the thing and instinctively took a step back. Like I said, this misty fairy house isn't a place where you can come as you please and leave as you wish. Swoosh. Bai Yen leaped with incredible speed after throwing down her words. Brandishing that frost-driven quill as her weapon, she's able to catch her foe off guard and swing around to the back and slash down. For Lu Qinyu, who's been staring down at everyone in a superior position, this was completely against the script she had planned. If not for the reactive block of her own blade by turning, she would have died right then and there. Even so, the quill ended up slicing right through the metallic sword and knocking this woman back several feet from the original spot due to the impact force alone. Feeling the sting in her chest from the residual damage, Saint rank. This woman is actually Saint rank. How come? The information I got from my people's investigation is that none should be at this level, the highest being only at the monarch rank. Note, this new level is stronger than monarch rank and weaker than celestial rank. The maids who came with Lu Qinyu has now come to their senses after realizing their lady was losing the fight. Drawing a long sheet of silky white robe, these girls promptly surrounding Bai Yen in a circling formation. You people are picking on my mother with so many people, aren't any of you ashamed? The childish voice was so out of place that many had trouble taking it seriously. Forking his little fists against the waist, Bai Shechen now stands in front of his mother in a protective position. Although he knew these enemies couldn't really do any harm, but it doesn't change the fact that he wants his precious woman to be less strained by the experience. And to turn his wish into real tangible action, he started to whistle. In time at all, herds of thousands of demon beasts came trampling over to the point where the main gates were completely destroyed by the overwhelming number that the boy summoned. Bai Changfeng and Chief Wu Wei took this relatively well. After all, they've already seen this happen before, so the experience didn't blow them away. However, the others who never witnessed something like this happening were completely scared off their wits like the world's about to end. Mass beast summoning? You, Lu Qinyu seems to have thought of something, her pair of beautiful eyes wide and full of shocking fear when looking at the boy. Then, her sight eventually fell upon Deetsang's peerless and devilish face. Demon King? How come the Demon King is here? It can't be. This woman is that rumored Demon Queen? That must be it. Aside from the son of the Demon King, who else can mobilize so many demon beasts at once? Thinking of the danger she has now plunged herself into, Lu Qinyu's expression was as pale as it comes. Tightly clenching those dainty fists, she trembles profusely on thinking up an escape plan. Son, you mustn't summon so many demon beasts at once. What if you scare grandfather and them? Bai Yen begins her lecture despite the mood. Even if you don't scare them, ruining the grasses and flower beds aren't good either. Next time only call some, okay? All cute and repenting, the little steam bun sounded all innocent and cute in his response. "'Kay mother, I know I'm wrong. Now that's my good boy." Ruffling the boy's hair, Bai Yan's face was all smiles when complimenting. Then out of the blue, a sharp blinding light shoots down from the sky, aiming straight for the woman's body. Everyone present couldn't react to this sudden attack in time, well, except for one anyways. Deetsang, who's been non-reactive until now, has finally began to move. Pulling his wife into a protective embrace, the Demon King promptly raises a hand to repel the offending light. In that second, a resounding boom resonates from the two opposing colliding force, causing the very eardrums of these guests to ring painfully. Mother. Bai Shechen's heart thumped intensely after the dust settled on the ground. Mother, are you all right? Lu Qinyu's goal, 1. Bai Yen shakes her own head helplessly at the two overly protective males in her life. Pushing Deetsang's arm aside, she leans down to pick her boy up in order to console that uneasy heart. "I'm fine, don't worry you silly." After saying this, she then turns her attention over to the old senior responsible for that sneak attack that's also hiding in the darkness of the night. The old man didn't care about the sharp look he's getting though. Slowly stepping out into the open courtyard, he gently helped Lu Qingyu up from the floor. "Uncle Jun, thank goodness you're here." With help by her side, this arrogant woman now felt at ease again and returned to her usual demeanor. Glaring at Bai Yan, "I know who killed my half-sister, it's these people right here." She may not like He Chu Chu and even hate the girl, but that doesn't mean she would tolerate others in going against the members of the spirit realm. What's more, the other side also caused her to be humiliated before the public. That's not something Lu Qingyu could ignore. Unfortunately for this woman who's now so full of herself, the old senior only needed a glance at Bai Yan and then at Ditsang before realizing the direness of the situation. His face was openly frowning due to the level of shock he felt. "Miss, you go ahead first, I'll follow from behind later." "Uncle Jun?" Lu Qingyu didn't know how to take that comment. "What's going on?" "Uncle Jun's strength should be more than enough to protect me while he fights." "Don't tell me, that man over there is that powerful where it's beyond my imagination?" "Hurry and go." Seeing how Ditsang's about to make his move, the senior knew this couldn't be dragged out. Smashing his lady's chest with a palm strike, this senior sends Lu Qingyu's body flying so she would move. Against this futile effort, the Demon King only wanted to sneer in contempt. Whispering into his wife's ear, "Leave everything here to me, you can go chase after that woman." Towards his own wifey's ability, this man knew it better than anyone, that's how much confidence he has in her. "Okay." Nodding at this, Bai Yan carefully placed her boy down from her arms so she could fully go at it. In a flash, her body was gone from the spot and in pursuit through the nightly sky. "Hold it." This enraged the senior known as Uncle Jun, so he immediately tried to block off the path. However, before any moves could be used against Bai Yan, a powerful gush of wind had come blowing over from the side and knocked him right back down. This small opening was all that's needed for everything to be set in stone. He couldn't chase even if he wanted to with Ditsang at his back. Flying through the night at incredible pace, Lu Qingyu didn't dare to worry about the abandoned senior from her own house. She's too afraid right now because she knew what would happen if Bai Yan manages to catch her. Unfortunately, as soon as she's turned her head around again after verifying there's no one behind herself, the most horrific image has appeared and causes her to stumble backwards in mid-flight. The reasoning? It's because Bai Yan was already standing in front. Say it, what is the purpose of the spirit realm attacking the three powers? I have the right to know the reasoning behind your actions. Under that somewhat intimidating existence, Lu Qingyu instinctively gulped and answered without any forethought, "Fine, I'll tell you. I only became aware of the reasoning because my father leaked the information to me by mistake. It is said that the three powers each have a key, and if collected, it will allow the possessor to ascend into godhood." Lu Qingyu's goal, too, crossing her arms around the chest, Bai Yan makes an unreadable smile as she spoke, "So let me get this straight. If one gets all three keys then they would be able to ascend into the celestial rank and become a god, are you sure?" "That's right, the three keys would activate the miracle hidden underneath. Also, I heard the three powers were originally founded by a god from thousands of years ago to begin with and that the miracle was also created by that person. Bai Yan, I know your strength is very high, but one individual cannot contend with an entire realm." Bai Yan continues to stay quiet, only listening to what the other side had to say. She's rather intrigued at this point and wanted more information. Now in order to train my brother, my father will definitely not let this opportunity go. Right now he's still occupied with other matters due to the passage being cleared to the outside world. Once he's done with that though, I'm certain he will come in person. Do you think the three powers here will still be able to survive in front of an unprecedented force? And? Bai Yan smirks at the persuasion. How about we work together? When I get my hands on the miracle, I'll also give you some great benefit in return. Now this time Bai Yan could no longer hold back her amused laughter. It's genuine without a hint of fakeness. And what makes you think I would need to work with you? She slowly encroaches in on the other side, her face no longer smiling. He can go ahead and come, just know that once he's here, he won't be leaving again. You wouldn't be thinking that the Demon King is invincible, do you? He may be unbeatable here and in the demon realm, but compared to the spirit realm's fighting force, he's still weaker. Like I said, cooperating with me is your best choice. Now that was a bad mistake. This woman shouldn't have turned to talking about Bai Yan's husband. Without so much as a word, she throws out a torrent of wind from her sleeve and knocks the other side right out of the sky. The resulting impact was a loud bang and a heavily coughing out of Lu Qingyu, who looked outraged by the sudden attack. You're really only here for the miracle?" she asks again after descending as well. However, unlike the former who came crashing down, Bai Yan's demeanor was like that of someone walking casually down the stairs. It's difficult to imagine the level of control one must have to pull off such a feat in midair. You should know that ascending into godhood and achieving the celestial rank is extremely difficult in our current era. The mere fact that there's a rumor floating about capable of helping me achieve that goal is enough to push me to come in person. Is it now? From what I remember, those masters part of He Chu Chu's group were all around that level in the celestial rank. How do you explain that bit? Blinking her eyes somewhat at being called out, Lu Qingyu hangs her head in contemplation before answering with the truth. Those are the spirit realm's elder force. They're all created using my father's secret ritual. Of course, the price would be, they wouldn't be able to live past 100 years at most. The lifespan of a practitioner was always a long one if nothing unexpected occurs. Even for someone like Bai Yan who has reached the level of the saint rank, they're expected to live somewhere between 600 to 700 years. Now imagine someone who's at the celestial rank, they're easily able to live as long as 1,000 years. For that length to be reduced to a sliver of a tenth, that's a price not many would pay. I have said all that I can. You not cooperating with me is fine, but can you let me go? Lu Qingyu asks this with a palm full of sweat. That's how nervous she was at the moment. Bai Yan immediately snickered at the bold request. Let you go? You killed so many from the three powers here and you want me to let you go? Assuming I agree though, do you think those who sacrificed themselves would? The woman in white grew increasingly more agitated in her tune. So what do you want to do, kill me? That won't bring you any benefit. What's more, those people weren't killed by me either, they're killed by the member of the Wu family. My orders were only for them to drive the members of the three powers out and that's it. Lu Qingyu's goal, 3, leaning to stare down at the other side, Bai Yan coldly grins. What you said about killing you isn't unreasonable, but, what good does it do me if I don't kill you? Lu Qingyu grew elated at the notion of hope. Speaking with a stronger voice, my father will be personally coming to the three powers once he's done arranging everything. Before he comes though, I can give you a warning ahead of time and act as your spy on my end. Spy? Smirking at the idea, Bai Yan almost wanted to laugh aloud at the silly suggestion. Do you think I would need a spy on the inside? If those from the spirit realm wants to come here, then they would first need to pass through the demon realm. Knowing that, do you think I would still need your pitiful amount of information? That immediately causes the other side to tense up. Bursting with cold sweat, this once proud woman from the spirit realm was now realizing how foolish she herself had been. The very idea of being a spy was nothing more than a scam on her end to begin with. Now it's obvious the one she's trying to fool wasn't buying it. Then what exactly do you want? I'm not short on spies, but if you're willing to be a slave, then I'll consider your proposal and take you in. Bai Yan's tune sounded light and frank, like it didn't matter to her or not. However, the one on the receiving end was not so happy. Practically exploding with rage on that face, Lu Qingyu refutes the idea right away. Dream on. I am still a well-known individual within the spirit realm, I will never become someone's slave. Swoosh, summoning her bony quill in that split second, Bai Yan's weapon exuded a dangerous frosty air that both startled the other woman and causing alarm in those eyes. You, bang. Not bothering with any more words, that weapon directly whips across Lu Qingyu's chest and sent her flying out. Though the attack was deliberately made to smack across the flesh and not slash it open, it still left that chest squirting out blood due to the surface skin being torn. Now the lavish white dress she wore had become stained with red as a result of the fluid. Of course, this little move wasn't going to please Bai Yan at all. Brandishing her blade for a second strike, she's now aiming straight for the kill by going for the throat. "I'll do it." This shout at the last second saved her life. Lu Qinyu felt death hovering above her head, so that's the only reaction she knew at the last critical moment, and thankfully so for herself, because that shiny flickering sword would have went straight through her neck. "I'm willing to be your slave," she says this through gritted teeth. "And you think I can believe what you say?" That causes the pleading woman to go white. "Then what do I have to do to make you believe me?" Curving her fingers out, a beady little pill appears in Bai Yan's palm. "Eat this." "What is that?" she asks with uncertainty in the voice. Though Bai Yan's expression was a smiling one at this moment, but to the other side, that smile was akin to a demon waving its hand at the victim. "A poison that's able to erode your very organs. But don't worry, I have the antidote right here in my possession. As long as you keep taking the antidote every month, then nothing will happen. However, if you go 3 months without the solution, then your stomach will slowly erode away until the toxin kills you. The process is both painful and excruciating, so I suggest you not test it." Making a smirk at the increasingly darkening face of the woman, "Of course, you can choose not to take this poison, but I'm sure you know what the consequences are for doing so. I will not allow a tiger to return to bite me in the future. In other words, it's either the poison or you die today." Lu Qinyu's goal, 4. Lu Qinyu shuddered at the conditions laid before herself. Despite the dread she felt inside, this woman also knew it's too late to turn back now. After all, if she could promise to become someone's slave already, what does it matter if an extra poison was added to the equation? Steeling her nerves, she pops the poison into her mouth with resolve. "I've taken the poison now, does that mean I can leave? Your subordinates are still in my place. Do you not intend to take them with you?" Bai Yan asks with a hint of melodramatic effect, like she's shocked by the way Lu Qinyu was abandoning her own people. On the other hand, the now slave didn't care about the taunting ridicule. Compared with Bai Yan's strength and intimidation, she's more afraid of that peerless and domineering demon king. But thinking back to Uncle June, who's still risking his own life for herself, Lu Qinyu at least had some sense of humanity left in her. "Fine, I'll go back with you first." Unfortunately, that attitude didn't sit well with Bai Yan in the least. Is this the tone a servant should be using against their mistress? The slave wanted to lash out from rage right there and then. However, upon thinking back to her own life, she subsided. "Mistress, I am wrong." But instead of getting an affirmative answer in return, Bai Yan only stabs her bony quill down onto the earth. This should have been an unimportant gesture, yet the impacting force alone actually shook the entire mountain range and causes Lu Qinyu to stumble backwards in great fright. How can this woman be so temperamental? Inhaling deeply, she bites the apple and yields. "Mistress, I will never dare again." Retracting her weapon, Bai Yan seems to be appeased, at least for now. "Lu Qinyu, don't think you will be able to escape from my control one day. This poison is my own creation. Aside from me, no one knows how to develop the antidote. If you try anything or go against my orders, I believe I don't need to go into details on what's to come." Due to the threatening tone in the voice, her words actually earned a shudder from the other side. Truth was, this woman from the spirit realm was also a talented alchemist in her own right. Unfortunately, the poison was so amazing that she couldn't detect it in the slightest when ingesting the pill, indicating how formidable the recipe must be to be able to bypass her senses. "Mistress, I would never dare to have alternative thoughts." The very fact that she has survived to this day in the spirit realm without others managing to kill her showed Lu Qinyu wasn't a brash person. Sure, the future may look grim for now, but that doesn't mean there's no hope still. Then let's go. Leaving only that behind herself, Bai Yan swiftly transforms into a flash of light and shot towards the main estate again. As hesitant and unwilling as this newfound slave was, Lu Qinyu could only follow from behind after watching that gradually disappearing light. Her speed may not be as fast, but it doesn't change the part she's now a lowly dog that must go where commanded. Inside the main estate, the guests are currently dead silent as they watched nervously at the lax-looking man sitting atop of the huge chair that's normally reserved for the master of the house. Despite the dominating and arrogant air this individual portrayed, He's extremely seductive in the eyes of the female body to the point where some are actively drooling inwardly, wishing so dearly they could go up and start up a conversation. Well, that was assuming if there wasn't already an old senior lying underneath the man's feet like a defeated rag doll. Uncle June at this moment was doing absolutely terrible. There's a constant stream of blood coming out of his mouth, and the only thing this poor grandpa could think of was whether or not the lady managed to return to the spirit realm or not. Suddenly, a striking red light charges through the doorway and catches their attention. When the defeated old senior saw who it was through the corner of his eye, he despaired. If this woman is back, then does that mean the lady? Mother. Bai Shechen didn't wait and threw himself into those arms after recognizing who it was. Lu Qingyu's goal, 5. The boy's body was soft to the touch and fragrant to the nose, leaving Bai Yan's heart all calm and warm to the bone. Towards his son and wife's intimate contact, Di Tsang immediately dumped whatever he was doing to the captive and rushed over to toss the little steam bun aside. He's a big sourpot to anyone who gets too close to his woman, that includes his own flesh and blood. How did it go, Yen Yen? The Demon King's smile was superb as soon as he turned to his wife, despite how dark he looked just 1 second ago. But before Bai Yan could answer the question, Lu Qinyu's presence has also arrived on scene through the doorway. Miss, are you all right? Uncle June was the only one showing joy at this new entry. Then just when this old man wanted to struggle up again to run to her side. Bam! Only a flick of his finger. That's all Di Tsang needed to do to force the other person back down to the floor. It's merely a gesture, but the force involved would have killed any ordinary human. Even so, Uncle June's complexion was a horrible white after getting hit in the heel with that blow. He's sweating balls right now due to the pain. When did I say you can get back up? Di Tsang's voice was overbearing and arrogant with a tinge of smugness as well, since he's able to show off before his wife. No matter though. Uncle June may not be able to move at this moment due to the threat and pain, but he only wanted to confirm the lady's safety, that's all. With his strength, this senior was more than capable of making an assessment using his eyes only. On the other hand, Lu Qinyu had wanted to rush over to help the old grandpa after seeing the terrible state he was in. Unfortunately, her status now was a slave, and that meant she's in no position to decide what to do. In the end, this once proud woman of the spirit realm could only timidly look over to her mistress for permission first. Grandfather, grandmother, Holy Lord, could you get a list of statistics for all the people killed by the Wu family's attack? We will have Lu Qinyu go in person to plead for forgiveness from all of them. It didn't matter if the lady didn't specifically order the murdering of the 3 powers. They're her subordinate, that means it's almost a definite she would know of their virtues. Ignoring was the same as indirectly allowing. What's more, Bai Yan herself couldn't say for certain she would have come out on top today if Di Tsang wasn't around. So, whether it be personal or business-wise, she has no reason to be lenient on this Lu Qinyu regardless of her submitting. In that instant, all eyes were gathered on the mentioned slave, their faces showing a stunned and surprised look. What does she mean by that? Have this woman go ask for forgiveness? Why would she do as ordered? Impudent. Uncle June grew furious at the notion. Who do you think her ladyship is? How dare you demand her apologize to those people, you? Bam! Di Tsang didn't want to hear another word from this foul mouth. Waving his hand, an invisible force directly slams into the senior's chest and knocks him to the ground, causing a mouthful of blood to come squirting out in the process. Uncle June. Growing increasingly more urgent in her face, Lu Qinyu knew she had to do something right now. Go prepare my things, I intend to go apologize to them in person. Miss? Losing all color from his old face, the severely injured old grandpa stares at his own lady in disbelief. What are you talking about? How can you? Taking the preemptive move by ignoring that plea, the slave acted accordingly to her own status by bending her back. Mistress, I have set the orders as you wished. Is there anything else you wish to command of me? Despite that voice being soft and melodic, it's akin to a thunder striking down from above for these people. Their eyes were popping out in absolute shock. What? Just a while ago this woman was still yapping on about killing them, and now she's calling someone else mistress. Isn't this a bit too fast for a change? Ms. Mistress? Uncle June awkwardly turns his old face towards Bai Yan, his demeanor stiff as a rock. Lady, why are you calling this woman your mistress? As someone with a sense of shame, Lu Qingyu naturally didn't have the face to tell everyone she submitted because the other side forcefully made her consume a poison. So, as any shameless person would do, she lied and started spouting righteous words. Uncle June, I'm only doing this because I believe my prior actions were wrong. If not for Miss Bai Yan here pointing me in the right direction, would continue to go down the wrong path. Lu Qinyu's goal, 6. Uncle June looked very tight as he went over those words in his own head. Went down the wrong path? Found a new way? This. Does she truly understand what she is saying? Miss, the senior's face appeared troubled and tied while speaking. But in the end it was Lu Qingyu who cuts him off and further spoke. Uncle June, you are someone mother left to me. If you stay then continue following me, otherwise I won't stop you if you wish to leave. I won't force you into anything. In response to this blunt statement, this supposed faithful servant actually started to have second thoughts about his continued service. The fault honestly doesn't lie in this old senior. The madam back then entrusted Lu Qingyu to him for care until she could come of age and lead them to glory. But what was he supposed to do when said lady has submitted to another? Moreover, he had no intention of becoming someone else's slave. Just as Uncle June was pondering on how to open his mouth again, his sight inexplicably fell upon the Demon King's face from the corner of his eye. Though expressionless and unreadable, that menacing and deathly aura told him all that he needs to know. Making a face that bordered on the line of crying, Miss, I will go anywhere that you would go, I won't leave you. Who were they kidding? If he so much as showed the idea of wanting to leave then he might as well forfeit his own head right on the spot. No one was leaving tonight and anything else was no more than an afterthought. Towards the misunderstanding, Lu Qingyu was absolutely moved to the heart. Showing an almost tearful face, I knew it Uncle June, only you would not abandon me in this world. That causes a moment of awkwardness in the old grandpa. What was he supposed to say right now? Just mere seconds ago he was still deliberating on whether or not to abandon the lady and flee, but now he's being hailed as the most loyal follower. Let's be real, he's not that thick-skinned to not know shame. Grandma, Bai Yan's attention eventually fell onto Jun Tianyu's face after moving away from the two from the spirit realm. Smiling there, now that things are mostly resolved here, I will go down and rest first. Before going though, I have a birthday gift for you. Without giving the madam a chance to ask about what this gift was, Bai Yan has already presented it before the grandmother. This is, looking down at the open palm, she could see it's a glowing animal core of some sort. As to what sort of creature this nucleus hailed from, the madam didn't have a clue. Is it an animal core? But this isn't right. A normal animal core doesn't look like this. It's as Jun Tianyu says, a beast core from the modern age doesn't give off a glow like the one here she's seeing. Though appearances did indicate otherwise. Monster essence. Of all the people who manages to recognize the origin of this core, it was Uncle June who stood out. This old senior clearly knew his stuff based on the heavy breathing he was portraying. Uncle June, what is a monster essence? The slave asks with a look of bafflement. Inhaling deeply, a monster essence can only be found within the monsters of the ancient era. The modern one we live in currently aren't capable of producing such nucleuses. Miss, these things are real treasures that can enhance a person's strength to incredible levels. To think this woman would have something like this. Just like this old senior, everyone else in the hall were showing looks of shock and astonishment. Although they don't know exactly the value of this monster essence, but the words ancient era was more than enough to hint at the extreme rarity of this bead. Lu Qinyu's goal, 7, yener, this is too valuable. The madam sounded like she's a little overwhelmed but was stopped promptly by a cusping hand from the other side. Today is your birthday, Grandma, please take this monster essence. I only have this single one in my possession and no more. Bai Yan's meaning was simple, she got no more so the rest of you can stop thinking about it. Making a cough to clear his throat, it was Bai Chang Feng of the medicine sect who broke the silence from the crowd. since today is Madame Tianyu's birthday, then I won't argue about it. But Yenner, you must give your grandfather here something just as nice when you get your hands on another, okay? Humph. Lord Chu Ran from the Holy Land also chimes in by making an awkward cough. That's right, Bai Yen, not only your grandfather there, your 3 shifas from the Holy Land could probably use some nice things too. Oh yes, if you are going to give Zheng Qi and his brothers something, then don't forget about me as well. I don't need anything amazing, just a rare treasure once in a while will do. As strong as their impulses were for this monster essence, this was still after all Jun Tianyu's birthday. But next time though, they are definitely not going to give up and fight for it among themselves. Don't worry, Lord, Grandfather, I will not forget any of you when I get something nice next time. Bai Yen makes a frank smile at her friends and family members in order to reassure the promise before returning to her husband's side. Di Tsang, son, I'm tired now, let's go back and rest. Taking that as the signal to grasp onto his wife's hand like a clingy hubby, the Demon King was all flattering in his tune and demeanor. Yes, okay, let's go back and rest. We will sleep together. There's no way Bai Yen would miss the wagging tail hiding behind Di Tsang's back right now. It's so obvious what this man wanted to do tonight, and she didn't like it. Sadly, no matter how much she struggled to remove that clingy hand from her own, the poor woman fails miserably and only made the big bad wolf get even closer. Meanwhile, on the side of this couple, the little steam bun was pulling his cute little face down in displeasure. I knew it. Now that mother has batty father, she no longer cares about me. Uncle June, is what you say really true, that is a monster essence? Staring in the direction of Bai Yan's fleeting figure, Lu Qingyu asks with uncertainty. The old senior smiles bitterly as he nodded in affirmation. However, before he could open his mouth, Jun Tianyu had already popped the beady little treasure into her mouth, thus causing an explosive spinning vortex of a storm to burst forth from her body. Even the roof was blown away in the process. For some of the unsuspecting guests, they were unfortunately knocked to the floor after losing their balance, while the more experienced and firmer ones popped their eyes out in an incredulous manner at the madam. In the end, it was Bai Chang Feng who broke the eerie silence by stomping his old feet repeatedly. Oh damn it, I lost out, I really lost out. If I knew the monster essence can directly make one have a breakthrough, then I would never yield it. There hasn't been a known case of someone breaking into the saint rank for many years now aside from Bai Yen herself. Hence the major outburst from this lord of the medicine sect. Uncle June, this monster essence can help a monarch rank directly break into the saint rank? When Lu Qingyu asked this question, even her breath was panting with urgency. That would depend on the situation. This Jun Tianyu was on the verge of having a breakthrough to begin with, she only needed a little push, and that's what happened after she consumed the monster essence. However, if it was a monster essence of a very powerful ancient monster, then even a low-level saint rank can directly break into the celestial level and become a god. Uncle June heaves a long sigh like he's also lamenting the missed opportunity. Lu Qingyu's goal, 8, sparkling with a meaningful light in her eyes, Lu Qingyu somehow appeared even more determined than ever. Uncle June, do you think we can achieve our wish if we follow her? The old senior shook his head in return. I don't know. What I do know though is that the demon realm back then is on equal terms with the celestial realm and can technically be said to be superior in some areas. Then for some unknown reason, a major catastrophe occurred and they disappeared. Maybe this is the opportunity we've been waiting for. The two did not say anything more, only staring in the general direction of where Bai Yen and her husband left in. The night remains silently calm to a certain extent tonight, but there are certain variables that are not so quiet. Yen, can we try again? Combing through those silky black hair of his wife's using his long powerful fingers, Di Tsang asks with a hoarse voice of yearning. Oka, but before Bai Yen could answer with that blooming smile of hers, the man's excessively urgent kiss had come flying down and smothered out any words she wanted to say. Di Tsang just couldn't wait any longer. Moving his hands with gentle grace while keeping an incredible speed, he tears apart that rosy red dress with amazing ease. Now showing to the world and in the eyes of this big bad wolf was that impeccable body that could drive any male mad. In response to this move, the woman herself didn't fight it after being stripped naked. Rather, she's now had her eyes closed in anticipation, awaiting the re-entry into that blood-ridden battlefield in her mind. Yet. Hiss. The sharp piercing pain came fast and hard, striking her soul into a surprised shock. What's going on? Why didn't I get into the battlefield this time? I still haven't figured out who that man in white is. But the confusion didn't last all that long, honestly. Partially it's due to the lump of meaty flesh attacking her lower abdomen in quick succession. It's definitely not very comfortable at first, but that soon changed to a physical urge to meet the man's rhythm. Bai Yen won't deny it, the experience was turning her on and the stream of stick fluid coming out of her said it all. Yen, I won't give you the chance to leave me again in the future. Leaning closer to get his face up close, the Demon King's peerless face completely reflects into the woman's view and completely destroys the last barrier inside her heart. This time I can finally get what I want. Next morning. Bai Yen was fast asleep after a whole night of intense sex, that was until she was rude awakened by the increasing weight on her chest. Shooting those eyes wide open, a swell of anger promptly bursts forth after remember what happened, scram. Damn this bastard, he didn't stop at all. Is he an animal? How can someone keep their rod that hard all night? And what's up with the weird positions he made me do? Oh, my waist and back, it's so sore. That's it, I'll make him pay for what he did to me. Oh Yen, this is my first take experiencing something so amazing, that's why. First time? Bai Yen snickers loudly like she just wanted to slap him. If it was your first time, then where did Shachin come from? In light of that blunt remark, Deetsung didn't get fazed in the least. In fact, his grin only got deeper like he's a shameless fox. That time? Well, that time was you forcing yourself onto me. I didn't even get to experience any of the fun because of my dull state. Don't you think you should compensate me, my dear wife? Get off the bed. Oh my dearest, you really are a fickle when it comes to these things. No matter, whether it's your gentle side or grumpy side, your hubby here will take it all and like it very much. Come now, let's continue where we left off last night. I still have some more positions I've been craving to try. Twitching in the corner of the eye from utter frustration, Bai Yan's frosty smile grew dangerous against the perverted body that's currently rummaging naughtily atop herself. If you don't get off of me and the bed, then we will sleep in different rooms from now on. Sure enough, the threat did have some effect. Deetsung stopped whatever invasive act he was pulling down beneath. Even so, the Demon King didn't scramble off the bed like told and instead pulled himself to one side while wrapping his arms around her clingily. Yen, this is like a dream for me. Lu Qingyu's goal, 10, I thought in this lifetime I would never be able to acquire a queen for myself, nor did I care for state teacher's prophecy. But with your sudden appearance in my life, I know I can no longer live without you. If you do leave me, then it will be by ripping my flesh and blood right out of me. Deetsung's tone had never been this sincere and warm before, causing the other side to tremble so slightly. Who taught you these words? She asks with a hint of blaming like it's his fault that she's feeling all fuzzy inside. Am I really that kind of person in your heart? Showing a distraught look, the Demon King literally had black lines running through his face. No, I'm just a bit confused by it, that's all. These kinds of blushing words didn't seem to fit you. Oh Yen, you will always be the most special one in my heart. Whatever I won't do for others, I will do for you, do you not understand that? It's exactly like he says. In this world, the only thing that could make him give up his dignity and let go of his pride was her. Towards those heartfelt words, Bai Yen responded by embracing that body using her own. She's not blind, she could see the level of love he's giving. Like the aggressiveness, the strong vicious nature of his character, and the heartlessness, none of that has ever been used on her unlike everyone else. Deetsung, do you remember what I told you before? Whenever I'm not emotional moved while doing it, I would immediately fall into those painful memories that didn't belong to me. In her view, those people and the woman she embodied during those images weren't her, or more exactly, it's things that happened in her past life. A fleeting memory of old. But this time. I don't know why, but I can't tap into that sea of memory. Acting in good faith, Deetsung narrows his eyes in and swiftly pulled the woman onto his chest. He wanted to use his entire existence to comfort that face. It's fine if you can't tap into those images. Perhaps it's for the best. Blinking her eyes in confusion, Bai Yan had this aching notion that this demon king knew something which she herself doesn't. Now that leaves a question hanging in the air: why? According to her impression, Di-tsang clearly didn't know anything based on his initial reaction during the first time she told him about the situation. That means whatever he's hiding only became known afterwards. Recalling back to that mysterious white-robed man in the battlefield, Bai Yan's forehead had inexplicably furrowed into a tight knot. There are so many things that remains an unknown right now, and it's driving her mad. Yen, you don't have to think about those things, said the man with a strong protective voice. You will always have me. Di-tsang, are you afraid? While being embraced by those powerful arms, Bai Yan definitely felt a thump of worry when listening in on his heartbeat. He's definitely afraid of something. A little stiff in his reply, promise me Yen, don't think about those things. Why? Because I won't allow you to be hurt in any way. I don't want to lose you again. Promise me, okay? Di-tsang's arms grew tighter, showing how anxious he really was inside despite the vain attempt at acting strong. Musing for a second, all right, I promise you. Since Bai Yan believes him, she won't press for an answer until he's ready. That's what a partner does. But, Di-tsang, I don't want you holding secrets back from me. Their eyes locked together, and my capacity to accept things aren't as small as you believe. Lu Qingyu's goal, 11. Di-tsang couldn't help but chuckle at his woman's plea. I promised you before that I won't hide anything from you. That means I will carry out that vow. However, there are still many things I don't understand myself. Can you wait until I figure out all the black dots first? Bai Yan complies with a comforted smile of her own, knowing she's not being lied to, which immediately warranted a long deep kiss from the other side. With the madam's birthday banquet being over, the guests too have also left for their own homes. But there are certain individuals who remained throughout the night though, mainly Lu Qingyu and Uncle Jun from the spirit realm. They've been waiting outside Bai Yan's room the entire night, so they heard everything, including the moaning and groaning for hours on end. Surprisingly enough, unlike the old grandpa who was flushing hard from all the sexually arousing sounds coming their way, it was Lu Qingyu who was rather calm for the awkward situation despite the uncomfortable stance she was making. Sure, she's still a virgin herself, but the fact that the noises could make an experienced old grandpa like Uncle Jun blush shows how intense the two occupants were going at it. This problem continued until late into the afternoon, ending only after the doors were swung open and out came the occupants inside. Apparently last night's nourishing treatment did wonders for Bai Yan's complexion because she was absolutely gorgeous in how her cheeks were a peachy pink. What's the matter? She asks with a hint of melancholy in the voice after noticing the two waiting bodies. I am here to greet mistress. Awkward in her reply, Lu Qingyu speaks up with a rather red face. The formality can be put aside. Take this medical pill here and have that old man eat it first. Pulling out a beady little thing similar to the one she fed the other girl, Bai Yan's expression was flat and unchanging. Thankfully the matter with the poison had been explained prior to this meeting, so the reaction wasn't huge from the senior. Merely a few twitches in the mouth before he swallowed it. Mistress, please go ahead and call me Jun Hao. After you two finish asking for forgiveness, you are free to go back to the spirit realm. Go back to the spirit realm? Lu Qingyu's complexion promptly turned a shade whiter. Mistress, my father will definitely investigate the matter before he comes to the mortal world. If I go back like this, then he's going to find out what I did. Please have mercy and let me stay. If she had managed to break into the celestial rank, then her father would at least keep her alive out of consideration for her usefulness. But that wasn't the case here, and the only fate awaiting her return would be death. I believe you will have a way to get through it, and if you can't do anything, then what good is there in keeping you around? I don't have use for idle loafers. Bai Yan bluntly throws her logic out in the open without a bit of mercy, causing the other lady to go ghostly white. Mistress, I am very useful and strong. Panic apparent in Lu Qinyu's voice. I can fight in battle and Uncle Jun can protect you during a clash. Oh, Bai Yan's voice sounded amused. Protect me? I believe my husband is more than enough to protect me. The two of you are excessive. Di Tsang's gaze also started to get dangerously narrow at the two interlopers trying to steal his job. My wife has spoken. Do you two have an opinion? Now this has left the two on the receiving end in a bind. This mission they got was truly difficult for them to achieve. I will carry out your orders as commanded, mistress. Getting to her knee, the woman from the spirit realm complies after gritting her teeth. She understands this was the only way to prove herself. Good, only then did Bai Yan's expression soften up. Taking out 2 bottles from her pocket, this here is the antidote portioned for 1 year. Come back to me for more afterwards, and if you don't believe me the effects of the poison then you are free to not take it. Lu Qingyu's goal, 12, believe, we of course believe you. Jun Hao forces a charming smile to hide his own unease. Mistress, having us go back to the spirit realm can't be without reason. Do you have something new in mind for us? Yes, you are right, I do want you two to do something while back there. However, I don't have an exact mission yet aside from passing on information to me. Passing information? Jun Hao appears surprised by the idea, but how are we supposed to pass information to you? The spirit realm is next to the demon realm. If anything happens then you can go to the border and have one of the demons carry the message to me. If I ever find out you withheld crucial information then you better pray to the heavens. At the thought of the consequences of having his gut melting through due to the toxin, Jun Hao immediately went on a slew of promises and vows to indicate his loyalty. Don't worry, mistress, we will definitely report any information we come across to you. You have my absolute loyalty. Are you done with the flattery yet? Bai Yan's gaze narrowed into a warning look. If you are done then get going. I don't care if you have to beg or plead to those who lost their loved ones, you must get their forgiveness. The 2 slaves exchanged a look of helplessness, their faces bittersweet at their own predicament. They know, the path ahead of themselves are going to be a rough and difficult one. Di Tsang, let's go see my shifus and grandparents. It's very likely they still haven't left yet. She then stretches lazily like it's still early despite it being late into the afternoon. Mother. Then from out of the blue, a tiny little guy rushes over from the front and directly crashed into her stomach, causing even Bai Yan to stumble back a few steps in the process. All teary and pitiful in the face. Mother, did Batty father hurt you last night? I heard your tragic cries last night, but great-grandfather and them won't let me come and save you no matter what. Tragic cries? Bai Yan's face was as dark as it comes. Turning rigidly to the one responsible, Di Tsang, yesterday. Did I really cry out that tragically? She gets an affirmative nod in return and causes that back to stiffen. If that's so, doesn't it mean the entire Misty Fairy house has heard us? This. How am I supposed to go meet grandfather and them? Oh, this is too embarrassing. Oh, forget it, I better go back and nap instead. She wanted to run back into the room and hide herself. Unfortunately. Mother, don't you want me anymore? Bai Shechen tugs at the hem of her dress with the most aggrieved and wronged face he could make. Towards this image of her boy, Bai Yan could truly say she's about to melt from how adorable he was acting. How can I, you silly? Mother couldn't wait to give you hugs and kisses. Then why do you not want to see me? It's not that mother here doesn't want to see you, it's just, she's really stumped at this moment. Unable to finish her sentence, the plea-filled woman turns to Di Tsang for help using her own distressed face. Xiachen, don't fluster your mother with your questions, the Demon King says it with a serious face despite laughing inwardly. She has to go see your great-grandparents now, so help me support her. Oh, okay, acting like the good little boy that he was, Bai Xiachen completely misses the fact that he's being toyed with by his old man and was now firmly holding onto that hand in support. Seeing herself being surrounded by one big and one small foxes, Bai Yan's face instantly turned dark from how the ridiculous course the scene has played out. What are you two doing? I can walk just fine on my own. That's not true. Maybe after last night our son will be having a little sister soon, so everything must be on careful side. Younger sister? In that second, one could definitely see sparkling stars in the little steam buns eye due to how ecstatic he was acting by jumping up and down. Lu Qingyu's goal, 13, the boy hurries to tug at Bai Yan's sleeve. Mother, is what Batty father said true? Am I going to have a lovely little sister soon? Yes, as beautiful and lovely as your mother. Di-tsang scraped his finger along the little steambun's nose in a doting and spoiled manner, which immediately removed any hint of the sadness the boy felt just seconds ago. Practically jolting with joy, if I have a beautiful and lovely sister, then I will cherish her and keep her safe. I won't let anyone bully or harm her. If anyone dares, then I will break their leg. While the son and father duo were having their gleeful moment, the most important female here on the other hand was having a brain tumor explode from within. Pointing at her son's face with twitchy eyes, "Son, do you know what you are?" "What?" Bai Shechen asks with innocent and confused looks. "In my hometown's word, you are what they call a sister con." "What is a sister con?" Blinking his big blue eyes, this word didn't register at all in the kid's brain as he titled his head sideways. A sister con is someone who will spoil their sister until they become a princess and not allow anyone with bad intent to approach her. "But you are wrong, mother, it's not me spoiling my sister into a princess, rather my sister is a princess. She's going to be the demon realm's princess, so I need to protect her and not allow any misbehaving bad people bully or harm her." Due to how innocent and affectionate his smile was, the boy's attitude was quickly rubbing off on the woman's irked mood. "Unfortunately, your sister still hasn't shown up yet, son, you need to dampen your expectations." "No. Sister will appear." Bai Shechen's face appears dead set on the idea and puffed up those cheeks. "I had a dream about sister last night. Perhaps it's a signal from her, so I know she will appear." For a while Bai Yen didn't know how to respond to her boy's firm stance on the matter. At this rate the boy is going to go crazy about a sister. It's just a dream, how can a baby come out so quickly? "Batty father, don't forget, you also promised me a little brother to take over the demon realm's rule." The kid then puckers up his lip like he's thought of something important. "By then I can take my little sister out into the world to visit all sorts of places. We can enjoy the food that is offered and the unexplored lands waiting to be visited. I can't wait for that." Don't assume just because he's young and still a child that he won't understand the heavy duties that come with the position of being a ruler. The boy's not going to assume the relentless burden of overseeing a whole realm. That's something he intends to unload onto his unborn younger brother. Yen, how about we work harder and give Shachen a younger brother as well?" Puffing his breath right next to the woman's ear, Di-tsang's words were tingly and nerve-wracking for the faint of heart. Flushing red from the remark, Bai Yen didn't want to face her husband. How can this father and son act like this? There's not even a girl yet and they're already asking for a boy too. It's too whimsical. "Enough, Di-tsang, we're going to see grandfather and them." Pulling herself together have a long heave, she diverts the topic to get herself out of this hole. "You're not scared anymore?" The man grins. Thinking back to the moans and cries for mercy from last night, Bai Yen goes all red right up to the ear for a second time but got firm in her suggestion. "We will have to meet eventually. What's more, I still have something I like to give them before they leave." "Oh Yen, you shouldn't think too much on the matter, you know. It's human nature to do what we did. They will understand since they're well experienced as well." "Human nature? Well experienced?" Bai Yan's eyebrow twitched incessantly due to how easily her man's words were able to make one croak. Is this how a family's supposed to act, like, getting along and well? Staring at the departing backs of the family of three after they managed to get going, Lu Qingyu had a look of envy in those eyes. "I also wished for something like this for my father and mother once upon a time, harmonious and happy, but unfortunately, such a picture would never come to pass for this lady of the spirit realm." That luxurious scene that she dreamed up as a child shattered years ago when her mother passed away and started the perilous journey of self-improvement and assassination attempts from her enemies. A celestial rank guardian? Back over in the main lobbying hall, the atmosphere was a little awkward right now, especially after Bai Yen and her husband arrived on the scene from their bedroom. Among the occupants who had the biggest beef with the Demon King would have to be Yun Feng, the girl's father. This man had a death glare firing towards the other male like he's facing an enemy, and those fists were constantly making crunching sounds. Then again, who could blame him? Di-tsang clearly abducted his daughter. Had it not been for Jun Tianyu's grandmother, satisfied opinion of this grandson-in-law, he would never have accepted Di-tsang so quickly. Blushing hard upon seeing the gathered crowd, Bai Yan stutters a bit in her opening speech. Shifus, grandfather, grandmother, father, lord, how did you all sleep last night? Talk about a bad topic to break the awkwardness. Almost immediately, this poor woman wanted to bite her own tongue off for stirring the pot. And sure enough, her father Yunfeng speaks up with a blaming voice after glaring at Di-tsang. He abducted my daughter, how can I sleep well? Trying to avoid eye contact with her own father, Bai Yan promptly shoots a glare at the perverted fox in the house. You see this? It's all your fault, everyone is looking at me funny now. Yet, Di-tsang's expression remains unfazed against the resentment and stares he's getting from the rest of the family. He just stood there and took it like a happy jolly husband that has gotten his way. Heck, that stupid grin told them all he's not ashamed in the least for what he did last night and even relished in the attention. Father-in-law, we already have Shuchen. If you claim I abducted your daughter, then I've done so 6 years ago. Don't you think it's a bit too late to say that now? Sure enough, Yun Feng's face became stiff as a rock. He's angry, and not at Di-tsang either, it's at himself for not being there before. In his mind, he should have been with his daughter during the toughest hour. But because of his own mistake years ago by returning to the Misty Fairy House, his precious girl had to endure all those humiliation at the Bai house and became pregnant without marriage. That's something he likely won't ever live down. Di-tsang, I don't care what your identity is, I only have this one baby daughter, so you must treat her well in the future. Also, the rules of our family must be abided. The look in this recently recovered patient appeared solemn and firm, like he won't have it any other way. Smiling in return, Di-tsang felt confident he could meet those demands, so he readily complied. Father-in-law, please say it. Firstly, you are not allowed to have any concubines. Our family only permits one wife and one husband per couple. If you can't keep that promise and forsake my daughter, then I will separate you two, even if Yenner hates me in the end. Rest assured, father-in-law, I only have Yen in my heart and will have no other in this lifetime. If any female dares to have any wishful thoughts about me, then I will personally cut them down before they can try anything. Nodding in satisfaction over those words, the protective father seems pleased. Now secondly, you are to follow her wishes to the teeth. If she goes east, then you can't go west. If she tells you to stop, then you can't go forward. You are to support her unconditionally. He may have only recently regained his sanity, but Yunfeng understands that his daughter's path wouldn't be average if she continues to follow this man. It's going to be a perilous and tough road ahead, and he doesn't want any regrets to befall the girl. A celestial rank guardian? 2. A humph, the younger brother Sun Huan suddenly chimes in stupidly. Big brother, when did our family have such rules? However, his thoughtless question didn't even get to finish one before Yunfeng shot him the deadliest threatening stare this man has ever mustered up in his life. It's like a knife, piercing and stabbing right into the womanizer's heart and telling him that if you so much as say another word, I will twist the blade and make it so it becomes as painful and agonizing as it comes. Chief Wu Wei was watching his two sons' interaction on the side, and he's absolutely relishing in the fact. After all, he's their old man, yet he's the one being punished heavily, like he's lost all level of respect and status within the family. Ha brat, that's what you get for inserting yourself in conversations that you don't belong. Now know how your old man here feels after getting the cold shoulder from everyone. Thankfully Di-tsang didn't pay attention to the womanizer's words there. All firm in his stance, aside from her wanting to take a male concubine, I can promise her anything, including killing people. I won't ask the reasoning, nor do I care if it's right or wrong. If she grabs the knife, then I'll hold it for her. If she wants to protect others, then I will be the shield. I will stand by her side for the rest of my life. That proclamation finally had an effect on the stubborn father. Showing a relaxed face, Yunfeng even lost the initial hostility he portrayed thus far. Thirdly, and like you said just now, I want you to be beside her no matter where she goes. You are her shield, and I want you to swear by your words. Can you do that? In this world where gods and demons are considered real, it's not that far-fetched to believe divine retributions would also be real when it comes to an oath. Father. Bai Yan exclaims and wanted to stop this. However, by the time she could react, Di-tsang had already raised a hand to say his oath. I, Deetsang, solemnly swear by my name as the Demon King, that no matter where Yen Yen goes off to, war or wherever else, I will always be by her side and be her shield. Also, I will listen to anything she says and do whatever she wishes me to do. Then, to emphasize his point, the man turns to lock eyes with his own wife. If I ever violate this oath, let me be damned to eternal hell and bear the burning flames of eternal torture. Due to how powerful this speech was, it had the immediately effect of winning the female body over. Yen Yen, don't you worry, nothing will happen as long as I don't break this oath. There won't be any problem. Indeed, although the oath was somewhat vicious in nature, but that's only under the assumption of him not following his own words. My son-in-law said it right. As long as he doesn't violate the oath, then it's non-existent. Yun Feng guffaws a hearty laugh and lost any semblance of the stern father-in-law image he portrayed earlier. He's now my son-in-law. Yenner, you are much more fortunate than your mother. Your husband is brave and courageous, breaking through any obstacle that comes his way, unlike your old man here who did the stupidest mistake ever. That year he lost contact with his wife after being tricked into return to the Misty Fairy house. That's why he couldn't even begin to fathom what it must have been like for Ninger. Pregnant and alone, bloody and injured. Just the thought of that image brought a stir of intense pain in the man's heart. Yun Feng. Chief Wu Wei expresses remorse and got up from his chair after seeing his eldest son's sorrow. I am so sorry. Father, this is not entirely your fault. I also played a role in that tragedy back then. I should have known better and not left during a crucial time like that. The reason why he forced Deetsang to make that oath was also mainly due to his own past. He didn't want the pair to follow his own path. A father would always be a father, regardless of how little time he spent with Bai Yen. And if this son-in-law doesn't follow through, he himself would carry out divine punishment in place of the heavens if nothing else. A celestial rank guardian? 3. A humph. Bai Chang Feng suddenly makes a soft cough after listening in on everything. He may be the girl's grandfather, but unlike this Yun Feng who thought so far ahead into the future, he only found it annoying that Deetsang abducted the girl without permission. Yen Yen, you came at the right timing. Your grandmother's birthday banquet is over now, so we should also be leaving. The Lord of the Medicine sect comments. Wait, Bai Yen hurries to break free from Deetsang's grasp and stepped over. Before you all leave, I have something to give everyone. What? Everyone's attention immediately locked onto the girl's hand that materialized a set of beady little objects which radiated a warm glowing light. These are undoubtedly the highly sought-after monster essences. Due to them being of lower quality and that Bai Yen already broken through into the saint rank, the monster essences in front of them are borderline useless to her, so it's the perfect gift for her loved ones. These are... Bai Chang Feng eventually asks with a look of ogling uncertainty in his old eyes. Didn't you say there are only one left? Due to there being so many people at the time, I couldn't take them out, grandfather. But now that it's only family and friends here, there's no reason for me to keep hiding them. These are something I specifically reserved for you all. The news definitely caused waves among the occupants here to the point where some ended up gulping from it. First Elder, hurry and go back to inform our people that I'm not going back to the Holy Land yet. I need to stay here in the Misty Fairy house to make a breakthrough. Pressing down his inner desire, Lord Chu Ran issues the command with a serious face. In response though, Jingqi only made a blaming chuckle. Lord, there's no need to send me specifically back for a simple message. We can throw this task to one of the younger disciples. Us 3 brothers are Yenner Shifu, there's bound to be a share for us as well. I'm afraid none of us will have time to leave. That remark immediately causes a flushed look in the careless lord's face. He didn't think at all earlier when making the order, so he's now embarrassed for himself. I guess I am too excited right now. Yes, we can send anyone back to pass on a message, no need to have one of us go in person. Digesting the monster essence comes first. On the other hand, Bai Chang Feng of the medicine sect was still ogling the beady little things laid before his eyes. Then, as if struck with a revelation, this old grandpa promptly began to count with his fingers before stomping his feet in frustration. Oh no, 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 and oh. You bunch from the Holy Land has 4 people, the Misty Fairy house also has 4, yet my medicine sect only has one. This won't do, Yenner, you must leave your Uncle Jeanping a peace. Breaking out into a giggling laughter upon seeing how silly and childish her elders are, Bai Yan happily obliges them. Don't worry, grandfather, I've already set aside a portion for uncle. However, I need to remind all of you this one clear point: unless the user is at the monarch rank, they mustn't take these monster essences I'm giving out. It will do more harm than good to the body. Don't worry about that, Yenner, your uncle has already broken through to the monarch rank during this period while you were away. Right now this lord of the medicine sect really hated himself for failing in producing more children, otherwise he could have gotten more monster essences in his share. Now you are wrong there, Lord Bai, our misty fairy house has 5 and not 4, the womanizer Sun Huan then stretches out his hand in an open palm gesture after suddenly chiming in. You mustn't forget about me, Yenner. No matter what, I am still your little uncle, plus we have a very deep friendship, so I should also get a portion. Very deep relationship? Di Tsung's sensitive ears immediately picked up on that part and got all feisty. Pulling his wife into a possessive embrace, this clingy demon king narrows his eyes into a provoking stare. A celestial rank guardian? 4. Yen, what kind of deep relationship do you have with him? The sourpout demon king made sure to emphasize the word deep when asking his question. Oh, years ago he tried to flirt with me and I beat the crap out of him instead. Bai Yan's voice sounded mildly frank, like it's some old unimportant story. However, it was no different from a death sentence for the womanizer, because in that instant Sun Huan could feel an invisible blade brandishing right up against his neck. Sun Huan, how dare you make a move against my daughter? Making a bone-crunching sound from his fist, Yun Feng says this with gnashing teeth, like he's ready to clobber his younger brother. Big bro, listen to my explanation first. Back then I didn't even know she was your daughter. No matter how much of an animal I am, I would never touch my own niece, right? Sun Huan defends himself with a downright crying face. Whether Yenner is my daughter or not is not the point. Do you think a scum like you is worthy of her? Yun Feng's harsh words were relentless and blunt. Tearing up with grievance, big bro, how can you look down at your own little brother like this? Are we siblings or not? First off, what I'm saying is the truth. You are attracting so much wild flowers out there that it has completely destroyed any credentials you have already. And more importantly, as if a little brother is on equal terms with a daughter. Talk about a pitiful state he's in. The womanizer suddenly realizes that compared to his old man who's getting the cold shoulder from everyone, he too also held no status in this family. Back then it was like so, and now it's still the same. Whatever, I'll go find comfort in my own harem instead. Let's go. Unfortunately, Yun Feng didn't have any intention of letting his younger sibling off the hook. Grabbing that collar like a claw, the man drags the other one away for the outside. Big bro, where are we going? Didn't you want to tease my daughter before? We're going to have a little sparring practice instead. Well, practice was a lie. The actual truth was that he intends to beat the daylights out of the younger sibling. And sure enough, a series of mournful cries could be heard in the air not long after the brothers left for the sparring hall. Shaking her own head at this spectacle, Bai Yan didn't know what else to do but to sigh. It's not like I didn't want to give him a monster essence, rather his cultivation is just too weak to take it. Making a shrug of the shoulders, she returns her attention to Bai Changfeng and the rest. Oh right, Lu Qin, you told me the reason they are attacking the 3 powers is because of the keys hidden underneath each place. She claims it could open up a miracle, correct? Chief Wu Wei was the first to realize what she meant. Startled at first, he exchanged looks with his other 2 counterparts before sighing. Yenner, you are right. Before, when I said I wanted to wait for Lord Chu Ran and Lord Bai to arrive, is because of the keys buried underneath each place. This confirmation immediately causes an increased thump in Bai Yan's heart. It's just, the one to follow up was by Chang Feng of the medicine sect. The key's exact location is unknown even to us. We only know our ancestors hid it somewhere, and that one can only attempt at unifying the keys once they are at the upper level of the saint rank. T-hat's the decree they left us. Upper level saint rank? Bai Yan's gaze narrowed in like she's thought of something. I see then. It looks like I will need to wait a bit longer before I can pursue that so-called miracle. There must be a reasoning for why the ancestors left behind such a decree for their descendants. Since she has broken into saint rank already, it's just a matter of time before she could meet the necessary requirements. By then everything would become clear. Grandfather, I will leave the division of these monster essences in your hands. I still need to go find the other members of the lawn house. She turns for the outside after getting the hoped-for answer. Not long after the family of 3 left, a burst of looting ensued among the remaining occupants. Quit robbing me, I'm Yenner's grandfather, so it's only natural I go first. Making the claim was naturally by Chang Feng of the medicine sect. Unfortunately, his opinion fell on deaf ears here. Move to one side, you old fart. I am Yenner's Shifu and the first one she met back then. If anyone's going first, it should be me. Xiao Shurong, third, fires back with his own claim. A celestial rank guardian? 5, a humph, third elder, I am the Holy Land's lord, so I should be before you. Chu Ran had wanted to use his position and righteous words to sway the rest, however, the following ruckus instantly overwhelms him. Seconds later, after realizing his own stupidity, the once proud lord also joins in on the snatching and looting. Simply said, it has devolved into a street-leveled brawl like those wives at a fabric store, tearing and ripping and such. Apparently Bai Yan's message of equal sharing has gone over their heads in front of the prize. Over in the guest quarters specifically set aside for the rest of the Lan family members, Bai Yan had just walked through the main doorway when she saw a familiar figure. Yenner, you have come. Dong Rulan, aunt, greets the girl with a gracious smile as she reached over to grasp her hands. Aunt, did your brother over in the Dong family come bother you again lately? At first this adopted aunt from the Lan house was taken aback by the suddenness of the question, but that quickly changed to happiness at the care she's receiving. No, not since after the previous event. He's matured a lot and moved out of the Dong estate, so I didn't get to see him much. I'm sure he's aware by now that I don't want to see him either, since I deliberately avoided him when coming back. Then that's good, Bai Yan smiles cheerfully in return upon knowing everything was going well. Anyways, I got something I want to give you all. That said, she readily strolled into the main room where Old Lord was already sitting inside. The grumpy old grandfather was still showing his grouchy face as usual, but that swiftly changed after he recognizes who it was. Getting up, this senior tried hard to restrain his inner urge to smile and failed miserably because those eyes said it all. He's smiling from within, there's no need to show it because that look was that of an elder seeing their grandchildren all grown up and well. Grandfather, Bai Yan's voice sounded soppy. She's honestly moved by Old Lord Lan's behavior because the amount of love this old grandpa gave her didn't lose out to Lan Xiaoyun, girl cousin, at all. Yenner, ache. He heavily sighs with a bit of frustration and pain. Truth is, I should be glad that you are not Yuer's flesh and blood, that way you wouldn't inherit her weak-mindedness and innocent nature. Hurrying over to her adopted grandfather's side, the girl leans downward on one knee to get in the same height. Oh grandfather, you shouldn't think like that. My brother Xiao is mother's son and he has his own opinions, doesn't he? Speaking of Bai Xiao, Old Lord Lan's lip promptly curled into a proud smile. That is, of course, he did inherit my good blood, so how can he be a spineless boy? Against this swift change in attitude, Bai Yan had nothing to say. All she could do was leave her mouth twitching with disbelief. So the good genetic is from you and the bad is from your daughter? How does that even work? Old Madame Lan also felt this was wrong and decides to step in as well. Dark in the face, how can you talk about your own daughter like that? What kind of father evaluates their own daughter so negatively? No matter how bad Yuer was, she is still your girl. Humph, if that girl had listened to me from the start, then would she be ruined by that scum? Not only did she leave this world so early, I also have to send her off before moving on myself. This really was the typical case of love cuts it deep. Based on that trembling fist, it's obvious this old grandpa loved his daughter dearly and treated her like the shining jewel of his heart. Otherwise, why else would he grieve for so many years after Lan Yu had passed on from this world? A celestial rank guardian? 6. Grandfather, seeing how the atmosphere was going down the wrong path, Bai Yan hurries to shift the topic to another. I have something I like to give you all. Turning around to signal her son with a wink, "Son, hurry and bring over the gift I prepared." Doing as told, the little steam bun didn't wait and toddles over to the old senior. "Great-grandfather, these are the Dan pills Mother made for you. They are very delicious, I tell you, so quickly take them." "This." The grandpa looked surprised by satchel he's given. "Is this a storage bag loaded with Dan pills?" "That size, there must be a lot inside." Showing a frown, "Yenner, your grandfather, I know about your amazing talent in alchemy, but these are too precious and time-consuming to make. I speculate it wouldn't be easy even for you, so it's best you keep it for yourself to use. Giving it to me is too wasteful. Grandfather, don't forget I have an alchemy hall operating within the flower brothel. These are all produced over there and not by my hands. Also, you are my weakness, only by making you all strong can I feel at ease while charging in the front." Bai Yan's face got all stern and hard as she says this, which somewhat startled the old senior. Blinking his eyes for a second, old Lord Lon eventually nodded after thinking it through. "All right, I guess you are right. I'll accept these then." All smiles after getting her way, Bai Yan almost devolved into a child while explaining the effects of her gifts. "These Dan pills are very useful, grandfather. Some are supportive in nature, able to help the rest of the family advance quickly in their cultivation. A monarch rank shouldn't be far away if they train hard enough in the following years." "Oh yes, grandfather, I also have other gifts prepared if they do." Old Lord Lon just couldn't resist a sigh at this point. "Looks like my daughter's smartest and wisest choice in life was to adopt this wonderful girl. If only she didn't fall for that scum, then all would have been great." Yen, it's unsure when Di-tsang came up to his wife's side, but his hand had already wound around her waist. "Actually, you don't have to go through so much trouble if all you want is to protect grandfather and them. I can summon a couple of the demons currently training in the secret domain back at the demon realm. A few celestial rank should be plenty." Boom. This remark causes this poor old mortal to freeze over in the brain. Old Lord Lon had initially wanted to take a sip from his teacup when the careless demon king threw out that sentence. As a result, he instantly dropped the container and splattered the content across his own lap. What did my grandson-in-law just say? Send 2 celestial rank demons to protect me? This is a dream, right? Yes, it must be a dream. Ignoring the part about whether there's really demons at that level in existence, even if there does exist, old Lord Lon doesn't believe for a second that such incredible beings would willingly come act as some dormant guard for a mortal human. "That's wonderful, Di-tsang." Bai Yan happily accepts the proposal and nodded like it's natural. "And there's a few extra. Can we also place a couple at the 3 powers? I fear those from the spirit realm will come again eventually." "Of course there is, since you asked." Even if there wasn't enough, he would forcefully produce a few, all for the sake of keeping his precious wife from worrying. A humph. Old Lord Lon couldn't take it anymore and coughs a few times to get their attention. "I'm happy you have this heart, Yenner. Whether or not they're celestial rank demons is of no importance. What matters most is our Lon house improving our strength." Bai Yan knows her adopted grandfather doesn't quite believe her man's words, but no matter, she only needs to make it a reality for it to be all settled. "Grandfather, grandmother, you were willing to accept me even when my reputation was down in the dirt. It's back then that I swore to myself that I would help raise the family's status. Though back then she already had the flower brothel and Holy Land acting as her support, but that's not something this family knew. Even so, they accepted her and her son without a single protest or contempt. That's a debt of kindness she won't ever be able to repay." Fox Clan? 1. Throbbing that throat several times, old Lord Lon ends up not saying a word after trying repeatedly. He's too moved to the point where he didn't know what else to say. Anything right now would just be superficial and pointless. "Great-grandfather, how has Nangong Zhuan been doing?" Bai Shechen asks with a hopeful light in his big blue eyes after remembering his little friend whom he hasn't seen for a long time. That year while they were visiting the palace, it was by pure coincidence that they came across the malnourished and heavily bullied young prince. Then by fate or kindness, Bai Yan also ends up taking the skinny boy as her disciple and brought him along as her own. If not for the fact that the family needed to leave the Luhua kingdom and couldn't bring the prince along, they would still be together right now. Don't you know? The old grandpa makes a surprised face at their lack of knowledge. Back when your Uncle Shower left, he also took the young prince along with him. Now we don't know where both of them are. Grandfather, I intend to go look for my brother after this celebration is completely over. Don't worry, I'll be sure to bring both of them back in one piece. In this world, aside from her son and husband, Bai Yan's biggest concern would be her brother. As for her disciple, it's unavoidable that the attachment to the prince remained on the lower end. Now the news immediately causes the old senior's forehead to loosen over, then I can be at ease. I'm sure they will be fine if you're on the case, Yenner. Despite the calming and reassuring smile from the woman, Bai Yan's heart wasn't as confident as her outer appearance portrayed. She doesn't know their whereabout, and according to her experience, a simple training outing would have been over by now. Even if Bai Xiao doesn't return, there should be at least some traces or news from her spies by this stage after searching for so long, yet there's none. Perhaps Ditsang had sensed the worry in his wife's based on that demeanor. Raising a hand to hold her shoulder in a reassuring manner, you don't need to worry about Bai Xiao, he will be fine, so be at ease. And if you're really uncertain, I can accompany you in your search. She faintly nods like the promise helped. Returning her attention to the other family members, grandfather, grandmother, I might not be able to send you all off later, but don't worry, the people at the Misty Fairy House will send you back home in my stead. Lassie, reluctant to separate so soon, old Madame Lan grasps on the girl's hand like she's going to cry. It's so hard for us to meet nowadays. If you got free time in the future, you must come back home to see us, all right? I will, grandmother, carefully retracting her hand like she might offend the other side by doing so. Bai Yan then exchanged a look with her husband to signal it's time to leave. Together with their son in tow, the family of three soon disappeared from view. Ditsang, do you have something to do? She asks after they're alone again. Giving a nod in confirmation upon being asked, Ditsang answers honestly, Xiachen wanted to enter the secret domain for self-training, so, I intend to send him in there in the not-so-far future. Once that's done, I can then accompany you in search of your brother and that disciple of yours. Bai Yan remained silent and didn't refute the offer. It's true she's not able to be at ease unless she goes out to search in person. Reading through that thought, Ditsang makes a charming smirk for his own little win. Yen, if you really want to go search, then you can go on ahead first, I will catch up later. However, you must keep Dragony by your side at all times when doing so. Dragony? She shows a startled face at the request. All deep and stern in the voice, the man makes it clear he's firm on this stance. That girl is not ordinary, so keep her by your side. Only then will I be at ease if you're going out there alone. He understands that even if he prevents her from going, his wife would surely sneak away in the dead of night. Rather than doing something fruitless other than to enrage the precious woman in his life, Ditsang would rather comply and earn some more merit points so he could use in bed. Mother, it's then the little steambun tugs at his mother's sleeve after being ignored for so long. All pitiful and teary like a pet that's about to lose attention, I'm going to miss you. Fox Clan? 2. Aching in the heart over this picture, Bai Yan hurries to bring her son into a comforting hug. Mother here will promise you, once I find your uncle I will immediately come back to wait for you, okay? Really? The little steambuns I lit up with expectations. Of course. If you don't believe me then we can pinky swear on it. Mother, I'm not a 3-year-old child anymore, such tricks are only meant to deceive little babies. Now that's just embarrassing for this doting mother. It's like the boy says, he's no longer 3, he's coming up to 7 this year. However, Bai Shechen's face breaks out into a lovely and innocent smile. I will believe anything mother says. Once you find uncle then you must come to the demon realm and wait for me. I don't want the first person I see to be baddie father when I come out of the secret domain. Now that's just wrong. Ditsang's beautiful instantly goes dark at that comment. This brat, does he detest me that much? I'm his old man and deserves respect. But instead of breaking out into a chuckle like she normally would over the sly words of her boy, Bai Yan instead hugs the boy even tighter until Bai Shechen was almost unable to breathe. Fortunately this filial and sensible child knew what the gesture meant and allowed it to continue despite the discomfort. Neither of them felt happy about the separation and this was their way of communicating their emotions. Son, it was Bai Yen who eventually broke the silence by loosening the hug. Remember to be careful while training inside the secret domain. Safety comes first no matter what, understand? I know. In order to emphasize his point, the boy makes a sweet little peck on the woman's face before breaking out into a huge giggling laugh. I will definitely be well and safe, because, only by being safe and well can I protect mother from harm. Her heart ached at this. The boy's ability to please her and say sensible things are just too good. No matter how she tries to tell herself this was for the best inwardly, Bai Yen knows, she's going to miss him desperately during this period. In the end, it's her own powerlessness that's the cause. Clenching her fist, a stubborn and firm aura exudes out of that face. Whether it be the celestial realm or spirit realm, I will not let any of you off for this. Suddenly, from out of the blue before she could react, Di Tsong's hand had swung her around and pressed his lips firmly down on hers. It's somewhat cold and shocking to the mouth, but that quickly changed into a comforting battle of the tongue. Releasing his prey, Yen, don't miss me too much, I'll come to you soon. Initially Bai Yen was still a tad flustered from the forceful kiss on herself, but the remark instantly destroyed any lovely mood she felt from the act. Dark in the face, she's got to hand it to this man and his delusions. When did I say I was going to miss him? Oblivious to his own lack of status in this family, Di Tsong gives one final yearning look to his wife before turning away for the outside with the boy in tow. It wasn't just the husband here who didn't want to leave either, the kid as well while being led away. Bai Zaken would turn around to look backwards after every 3 steps like he's going to run back at any moment. This saddening departure continued until their figures were completely out of sight and the interjection of a familiar childish voice. Queen, where is His Majesty and Highness going? Swinging her head around, Bai Yen could see it was Dragony, the very girl she intended to find after she calms her aching heart. However, it appears that objective was no longer necessary. They have other things to do. Dragony, during this period it will be just you and I, okay? Okay, the dollish young lass answers loudly without hesitation. Giving a tug at the sleeve, Queen, His Majesty is so terrifying. When he is around, would always be too scared to approach you. Bai Yen couldn't help but prick her brow at this sudden comment. Is Di Tsong really that scary? How come I never found it so? Like when they first met. At most he would only act all threatening and tough in front of my presence, never did he do anything truly harmful. Fox Clan? 3. There's no need to be afraid Dragony, he only liked to scare people, he won't actually hurt you. Bai Yen then caresses the girl's head as a comforting gesture. All happy in her eyes, the little missy forms a smile now and loses that worrisome face. Queen, I like you, so. Even if the king is scary, I won't leave you. Within the demon realm, there doesn't seem to be anyone who's not afraid of him, so her worries are within expectation. But of course, the main reason wasn't because the demon king did something cruel, rather it's his aura being too dominant and powerful to his subjects. The fear just comes out of their hearts without any coercion. Let's go then Dragony, holding the lass's hand, Bai Yen leads the way to only get a surprised question from behind. But Queen, don't we have to tell the others first? No need, I don't like the teary separation scenes that will inevitably come of the meeting. What's more, I've already left them a letter so they'll know once they see it. Though she says that, Bai Yen did make a reluctant look in the general direction of the main courtyard. It's obvious her words were only half true as she continued to walk. Dragony, I've been meaning to tell you this, but you shouldn't call me Queen from now on while we're in the outside world. Huh? The Missy asks with a bit of confusion, then how should I call you Queen? You, she muses for a moment, you and Xiachen are the same, so call me Mother. Since the day I adopted you, I have already thought of you as my daughter. Though it's unintentional, her comment had caused the little Missy to clench those dainty hands tightly. What's the matter? My former mother was very bad to me, pursing her lip, Dragony's view was all blurred up due to those brewing tears in her eye. Because my soul opened up late, she would always call me the little fool. It's you, Queen, who didn't abandon me and flaunt me around as a laughing stock. I'm so grateful for being adopted. Back then she didn't know better, so the sort of grievance and sadness experienced by normal people didn't apply to herself. But now it's different and she understands it all, including the sort of miserable maltreatment by her former family. Queen, can I really call you mother? Am I also going to be a child with a mother in the future? I'm actually really good. I'm not lying so. Bai Yen felt pained by the girl's defensive words. Sure, she herself also faced discrimination in the Bai house by her so-called father and stepmother, but that's only for a short period of time in this world. Dragony on the other hand faced such harsh conditions for years since her birth despite the hindered mindset. Dragony, you just need to know that I truly look to you as my flesh and blood. Just like Xiachen, you too are my children and that will never change. Crouching down to be at eye level, she tries to soothe the little missy with her own gentle smile. And from now on you don't need to be so low on self-esteem either, no one is going to ever hurt you while I am around. Showing a beautiful smile in return, Dragony looks genuinely happy at the promise. I'm so happy. From now on I won't have to be envious of those children I see playing with their parents on the street anymore. Come, it's getting late so we should go now. Picking up her adopted daughter, Bai Yen wanted to use this gesture to emphasize their connection, and there's no lies in her words. Together, this pair headed for the outside with a newfound sense of joy in the air. On the intersection making up the border of the demon realm and celestial realm, this stretch of land has now become a place of war. Although it's not scorched with blood like some battlefields back in the old days of Earth, this was still very intense for the sort of clashes that occurs between the two sides. Fox Clan 4. Currently inside a restaurant located at the border city between both realms, there's a young female and her precious young daughter enjoying a fine meal together on one of the tables here. Normally their presence would surely catch the attention of the customers inside this establishment due to their looks, but the recent events around this region were too interesting for the others to care about some random stranger. The older female was naturally gorgeous, of course. Wearing a rosy red dress, she was the epitome of a thorny flower that's beautiful yet untouchable for the mundane. Meanwhile on the opposite side of the table sat a young lass who had a contour just as fine. Though the girl lacked the allure of a full-grown adult, those eyes were deliciously appealing enough for those with a nasty taste for the young. Since the seal shattered around the demon realm, those blasted beasts have run amok around here, and those from the core of the celestial realm won't do a damn thing. Now this border city is close to being overrun by those demons. Che, it's because our side is so weak that we were forced to stay in this border city. If those big wigs back in the celestial realm cared anything about us, then they would permit our entry into the human world instead. Now not only are we forced to confront those demons here without help, we can't even flee to the weaker realms. At this rate I wouldn't even be surprised if the entire celestial realm is conquered by those demons. Even if the strength of these rabbles here are considered insignificant by the truly strong, but once transferred to the human world it's still a considerable force to be reckoned with. Dragony, we're leaving. Bai Yen says this after she's done with her eavesdropping. Though confused in the eyes, the young dragoness nevertheless followed from behind like a clever girl that she was. Only after they're out of sight did she bring forth her inner doubt. But mother, where are we going now? Just now those people mentioned the demons here have formed a recognizable force in this border city. If we go seek their help, then we might just be able to find your uncle. Even if not, it will at least increase the pace of our search. But is uncle really in this place? Biting her nail, the lass asks innocently without a care in the world. I don't know, but according to the pieces of information I got from my sources, he shouldn't be too far from this place. Forcing an uncertain smile, Bai Yen knew she was going at this with thin ropes. Regardless, we will still need to try our luck since we don't know where he is. Who knows, we might just get lucky and score one from the start. Oh right, Dragony, since you're also a demon, are you able to tell which part of this city has the strongest demon scent? If demons gather, then they are bound to produce a recognizable scent in the air. By going to the area with the strongest, she would then be able to find some help. I can, complying with a heavy nod of her head, the young dragoness then began to sniff the air until her nose points to the general direction in the east. Mother, there are a lot of demons over there, and they're foxes. Foxes? Bai Yan's eye lit up. If it's the foxes, then even better. Dragony, we're leaving. To the east of the border city, there stood an old manor adorned with a gold plaque at its entrance. This read the word Fox to indicate the sort of individuals living in this estate. At this moment, there's a string of musical melodies coming out from within, and following this sound was the graceful dancing of a woman inside. Her movements were beautiful, matching that with the hypnotic eyes of a fox. She's an unforgettable specimen of what a female should embody if they are out to attract the opposite sex. Fox Clan. 5. Miss, your dance is getting more and more beautiful. Even our noblest king will certainly be mesmerized by your beauty. One of the maids nearby compliments after coming back to their senses due to the amazing show. Scratching the other side's nose with a genuine smile, the lady felt good at being praised. What are you saying, you silly? Don't forget, it was my older sister's foolish dream of wanting to become the queen that we were forced to leave the demon realm and come here. Do you think His Majesty would be so easily captivated? Miss, you are wrong on that. Unlike first Miss, you are superior in both looks and charms. There's no way the king wouldn't fancy you. I bet in this whole city, there's not a single man who wouldn't fall for your beauty. Although this flattering remark was exaggerated to a certain level, it did have a very high effect on the fox lady. Why did she abandon her cultivation to specialize in dancing and seductive charming? Of course it's to allow her family and herself to return from their exile and the demon palace. Unfortunately, she and her father did not believe in the same way of doing things. Her old man has accepted their fate of being exiled to this gutter of a wasteland due to the varying degree of constant warring and wanted to take this border city as their base of power, believing the hard work done here would eventually earn the king's forgiveness and allow for their return. The goal was the same for the pair, but the means to that goal differed between father and daughter. This mouth of yours is really getting sweeter and sweeter. It's unfortunate that the king already has a queen according to what I've heard. This road I've chosen will be a long and hard one. Miss, it's then a voice from the rear interrupts their conversation. Coming over, the individual looking like one of the guards here arches his fist and speaks. There are 2 people outside currently wishing to see the housemaster, but he's. See my father? The lady became surprised by the idea. Raising a brow, who are they? A human and a demon, the guard answers respectfully. Making a amused look as if contemplating her options. My father is currently in closed-door training, so no one is to disturb him until he's out. I'm his daughter, so if there's anything of importance then I will see to it. Bring those 2 to me and I'll meet them. Yes, milady. Getting the order, the guard promptly went away for the front door where the 2 should still be waiting. Outside of the estate at the front gate, Bai Yen was quietly waiting with Dragony for the home's host to show themselves when a group led by a lady in pink came out to greet them. From first glance, she could see why some would call the fox demons a race of seduction and allure. This lady had a very beautiful contour, but the most outstanding feature were those eyes. They spoke of femininity without words needed. While there's no problem for one to want an outgoing appearance and dress code, Dragony on the other hand didn't feel the same and found the fox lady rather dislikable. I believe I said I wanted to see the Fox clan's chief. Bai Yen says after seeing who had come out. I'm his daughter Hu Mei. You can speak to me if you have something to say. Hu Mei frowns after being dismissed as the one in charge and also showed a hint of hostility in the voice. Being dismissed despite coming out to greet some unknown stranger would of course irk anyone. However, Hu Mei had another reason for disliking Bai Yen, and that was their looks. This fox demoness had always believed her own beauty to be unmatched aside from the princess and king being on par. Yet now there's a strange human woman coming to her home and had a contour far superior to her own. As the old saying goes, one mountain cannot hold 2 tigers. My mother is the queen of the demon realm. Breaking free from Bai Yan's grasp, Dragony hurries forward to make a stand. We are looking for the Fox clan's chief. Fox clan? 6, Queen. Hu Mei's gaze shoots out a frosty beam as she snickered with contempt. You got some nerve. How dare you pretend to be the demon realm's queen? Do you know what sort of crime it is to impersonate her highness? My mother is the queen. Ho, the fox lady responds equally as sarcastic to that outcry. I've only heard of the queen having a son, never did I hear she had a daughter. If you are going to impersonate someone, then at least do your homework and get a boy instead of an unruly lass. Seeing how upset her daughter was becoming, Bai Yan hurries to step in before the little dragoness loses it. Pulling that small figure back to her side, she then flipped over her hand to show a jade pendant engraved with the word demon on it. Can this thing prove my identity then? Now go have the fox chief come see me. Hume became startled by the rudeness and looks down, her eyes appearing suspicious and doubtful. What is this thing? I've never seen it before in my life. Don't think just because you have a weird-looking jade pendant that you can go around impersonating the queen. Lady, even if you love our king, you still shouldn't use such means. She then goes ahead and makes an exasperated sigh, like the woman across from her was another one of those wishful females whom have dreams of attaining a post far beyond their own standing. Bai Yan's expression right now could only be described as having black lines running through her face. Back then, when Di Tsang gave her this identification token, the man specifically said it could prove her identity to any demon out there. But as anyone could see, it's obviously not working. Unbeknownst to this poor queen though, this Fox clan, here in the border city, was only a branch of the other one in the demon realm at this point. Since they've been expelled and exiled here to some far-off land, their ability to communicate with the rest of the demon world has become limited. Therefore, it's not all that surprising they wouldn't recognize the custom-made token she got from Di Tsang. The biggest issue in the end was the lack of information in this world. I have never seen a shameless wench before, a maid from one side scoffs derisively. If you want to be the king's consort, then use your own ability to reach that goal. What good is there in impersonating the queen before us? Another maid joins in as well. That's right, our king is not a blind person without taste. A woman like you would never get in his eye, so I doubt his majesty would even give you an extra glance. Utterly outraged by the snarky comments coming their way, poor dragony eyes began to glow red. I'll kill you all if you keep talking nonsense. My mother is the queen, it is you all who doesn't know anything and can't recognize the identification token. You, the maid who spoke last, wanted to fire back a rebuttal again when Hume steps in with a raised hand to stop the act. What are you arguing with a kid for? Getting all smug herself as well, Hume turns her gaze directly towards Bai Yan's when speaking. Our Fox clan is a gracious household and we do not argue with the whimsical and hopelessly wishful types. If you two got nothing more to say, then I suggest you leave. My father will not meet you, lady. That sly comment was the last straw for the poor dragoness. Practically trembling due to the inner rage wanting to come out, the lass stares dagger at the fox lady like she's seeing a dead person. You stinking girl. As servants, there's no way some of the maids wouldn't notice the hostile look coming at their lady. For one of the more outspoken and clever ones, mainly the woman compliment who may have heard dancing earlier, she had come forward to point her accusing finger at Dragony. Sadly, that was a huge mistake because that finger was a huge flailing target ready to be bitten. Ah! The outspoken maid screams in terrific pain as the razor-sharp teeth grinds against her finger. Stinking girl, let go right now, let go of my finger. There's no Dragony would let go though. Instead, she bit harder until blood has started to seep out of the maid's finger. This causes the second maid to run forward in haste to stop this. However, before she could slap Dragony to get her to stop, Bai Yan had intervened. Next thing they all knew was the brittle sound of bone breaking from the wrist by the fellow maid. Di Tsang's letter, 1. If you continue to want to touch her with your dirty hands, then you can forget about keeping them. Bang! Giving a shove, Bai Yan's maneuver sends the injured maid stumbling backwards until she's on the floor with tears of pains flowing down those cheeks. Miss, this woman is too arrogant. Enough. Hume orders with an expressionless face. I said it before, there is no need to argue with a child, or are you bold enough to go against my words? The maid immediately shudders at the thought of what that meant. Hanging her head low, the injured servant didn't dare to speak. Don't assume just because the fox lady's usually kind on the surface, but only these maids who have followed the demoness from young would know her true nature. If angered, the one to be the most ruthless would have to be Hume and not the fox chief in this household. Lady, it's my maid who offended, can I ask your daughter to release her jaws first? Shooting a warning glare at her own people, Hume then returns her attention to Bai Yan with a rather calm expression. They only said those things out of kindness. After all, impersonating the queen is not a small crime if discovered. Scoffing a brief chuckle of her own, Bai Yen was so done with this place. Fine, if the Fox clan here have no intention of seeing to us, then we will not linger. Dragoni, we're leaving. Oh. Loosening that mouth, the little dragoness didn't forget to shoot one final stare at the victim before turning away with her mother. Once the two were out of view, the frightened maid on the floor finally climbed back up from the floor. Miss, those people are too arrogant, so I. Despite the timidness in that voice, she asks nevertheless to quell her own doubt. I know, you don't need to say more. Hume narrows her eyes in with a dangerous glint in those irises. That woman is only a human, nothing to fear. However, that child beside her is a member of the dragons. I heard the new dragon chief is a highly protective man. If he learns of us harming one of his clan members, then it would surely create a conflict between both groups. That's something I would like to avoid for the time being. The lady then turns for the inner estate after giving her reasoning. Come, we're going back inside. Also, keep this matter from my father. I don't want him learning of this matter. Yes, milady. The servants and maids all complied with a bow of their head, but those eyes all had a disapproving light in them for leaving this matter alone. In their minds, the strange woman dares to impersonate the queen, so it's just a matter of time before she's discovered and sentenced to death by those in the palace. Then from out of the blue, as soon as Hume managed to make it back to her own courtyard for rest, a huge explosive sound rocked the air. Looking up in surprise, she could tell it's coming from the back. My papa has completed his closed-door training. Come, we're going to see him. On the back of the small mountain here, a bearded man wearing a long green robe had just walked out of the cave when he was taken aback by the red fox running over from the front. House chief, there's a letter from the palace. The fox presents the letter like it's a precious treasure. A letter from the palace? Hu Budwei felt his heart pounding with excitement after the thought. Trembling in his hand, he almost fell into tears after holding the precious envelope. How many years? How many years has it been since the palace placed me in the blacklist? Di Tsang's letter, too, addressed to Hu Budwei, chief of the Fox clan. These 5 words were a bag of mixed feelings for the Fox chief because he didn't understand who would still write to him from the palace. Ever since his eldest daughter tried to seduce the king, everyone from back home has kept a steady distance from his family and wouldn't communicate with them out of fear of being exiled as well. However, those emotions were quickly tuckered away as soon as he glanced over the content of this letter. The one writing was the king, that's the name of the sender. In the entire race of demons, only one individual would call themselves the king. Am I hallucinating? Rubbing his eyes to get a better view, Hu Budwei crimped less his forehead to focus in on the letters until his eyeballs were mostly bulging outward. His Majesty wrote to me? He wrote to me. Downright sobbing in joy, the Fox chief couldn't hold back those tears. He won't lie to himself, his eldest daughter did commit a crime worthy of death a century ago. Drugging the king so he would sleep with her? That sort of idiotic scheme would have been killed in its infancy if the Fox chief himself knew what the girl had in mind. But regretting won't change a damn thing at this point in life, so he's not going to dwell on his daughter's death. What he would do though was to grab onto this rare chance and achieve a great merit. Only by doing so would his family here be allowed to return to the demon realm. According to my informants, your queen, my wife, has now gone to the border. If she is to request assistance in any way, the Fox clan led by Hu Budwei must offer aid in all possible manner. In addition to the first edict, none is allowed to disturb her unless sought out. If there are any violators, they are henceforth banished from the demon realm in its entirety and never permitted to return. On the other hand, if Hu Budwei, head of the Fox clan, can appease my wife and earn her mercy, the currently banished branch of the Fox clan at the border shall be graced with amnesty and allowed to return from their exile. In short and blunt words, if she is satisfied, then I as the king am satisfied. If she's not, then you're screwed. Gripping the letter heavily with all the energy he could muster in those shaking fingers, Hu Budwei got all red in the face from the hope presented before himself. Yes. The king is finally giving me a chance. All my patience and loyalty wasn't for nothing. My family can finally return to the Fox clan and take its helm again. You there, make sure my second daughter doesn't find out about this letter. Do you understand what I mean? The fox chief hurries to give this warning after remembering something important. As the old saying goes, only a father would know their daughters best. The oldest had already pushed their family into this horrible state due to her whimsical wish of marrying the king. Now he mustn't allow his second daughter throw away her life for that dream as well. They both loved the king and he knew that, therefore, he must crush that hope to avoid a repeat of the last. What's more, he's afraid the girl might try to harm the queen if news reaches Humay's ear. That's not something beyond his daughter's ability. Yes, my lord, the red fox complies with a nod of the head. Perhaps the news from Deet's song had made the fox chief's mood exceptionally high because he was humming the entire way down the mountain. Unfortunately, his jolly attitude quickly came to a stumbling halt when an excited cry from the front forced him to a standstill. Father! Looking over, Budway could see it was his youngest daughter Humay. In that instant, he didn't show any joy, only a tense look with black lines running through his face. Without a second thought, the fox chief hides the letter in his hand before turning to face his own girl.